Good evening and welcome to the Walnut Creek City Council meeting of May 7th, 2000. I am shouting. Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 meeting of the Walnut Creek City Council. The City Council is conducting this meeting from the City Council chamber. This meeting is being video streamed and can be viewed live or later at the city's website. As some attendees may be participating in their first Walnut Creek City Council meeting, I wanted to make everyone welcome and to talk briefly about public comment process. Each agenda item, there will be an opportunity for the public to comment on the item. Thus, if you desire to speak on an item on the agenda this evening, please hold your comments until the City Council considers that item. Additionally, we have a section on the agenda titled Public Communications, which is for communications for items not on the agenda. Any comments during public communications should not relate to an item that is on the agenda. Consistent with Section 9.5 of the City Council Handbook, 30 minutes will be initially allocated for public communications for items not on the agenda. Additional time for public communications for items not on the agenda will be provided at the end of the open session point of the meeting if necessary. If you decide to provide public comment, please complete a speaker identification card. They're up at the board and can be had at the desk, and give them to our people over there. Wait your turn, and when you approach the lectern, please state your name and city of residence for the record. You will have 2 minutes to address the City Council. Please keep in mind that this is a city business meeting. The City Council has adopted rules of decorum to ensure that meetings are conducted efficiently and effectively, and that all members of the public have a full, fair, and equal opportunity to be heard. The City Council Handbook outlines decorum expected at the City Council chamber and can be found at our website. All remarks should be addressed to the City Council. Please do not use threatening, profane, or abusive language which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the City Council meeting. Again, each speaker will have 2 minutes to make your remarks. Written comments submitted and received up to 2 hours before the meeting have been posted to the city's website for review and are included in the meeting record, but will not be separately read into the record. After that lecture, it is now time to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There are more people in this room right now than we have really space for them. We are open on the 3rd floor, or we'll ask you to go out into the hall. I have people who, if you're here for another item, rather than anything that has to do with the beginning, you may want to be out there. Please stay, leave the doors open because we may need them for an emergency exit, and do not lean on the light switch, which is right by the door. If you're standing in the door, maybe you want to find another place closer inside, but you may want to also be on the outside.
If I could just add to that, Mayor, so we do have a maximum seating capacity of 114, and beyond that is a fire code violation that we need to follow. So folks that are standing against the walls, please either grab, there are a few open seats, or we do have a monitor in the lobby that is broadcasting everything. I respectfully ask that you view it there so that we can all be safe. Very much appreciate such interest in the meeting here today, but we want to make sure we're operating in a safe manner in accordance with fire code. So thank you for your cooperation.
The reserve seats may be open, so there are 3 more seats here. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your cooperation. City Clerk, may I have the roll call?
Councilmember Francois.
Here.
Councilmember Silva.
Here.
Councilmember Wilk.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Darling.
Here.
Mayor Haskew.
I'm here too.
And I'll just note for the record that this is also a concurrent meeting of the Parking Authority.
Thank you. All right, we have several proclamations to deal with. The first one is the proclamation for National Police Week. Let me read some of it. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which that date falls as National Police Week. It is important that all citizens recognize the duties and responsibilities of their police department as well as their sacrifices. And the women and men of the Walnut Creek Police Department are committed to protecting and serving our community through professional conduct and proactive enforcement of the law. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Luella Haskew, Mayor of the City of Walnut Creek, on behalf of the Walnut Creek City Council, do hereby proclaim May 15th, 2024 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, as well as those who have become disabled in the line of duty. Be it further resolved that the week of May 12th through 18th, 2024, will be recognized in the City of Walnut Creek as National Police Week, as we extend our appreciation to the women and men of the Walnut Creek Police Department for their courage, sacrifices, and dedicated service to our community. And may I have somebody or many people come forward to accept this proclamation? Thank you. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speak here.
Please, yes.
Hi, good evening. Officer Shane Blatz, POA President of Walnut Creek Police Department. I just want to say on behalf of our department and our membership, we definitely take a lot of pride working here for this city, and we're very honored to receive and accept this, so thank you.
It's situational awareness, you know.
Try to be like a crook and get away.
Thank you. Thank you for coming back.
Next one, keep going.
All right. And now there is a proclamation for Jewish American Heritage Month. And I will read the proclamation, and then hold on, where's my name? Rabbi Jenny Shabon, if you're here, be ready to come and accept it, please. So, whereas, since our nation's earliest days, Jewish Americans have been an important part of the American story and have greatly contributed to all areas of American life and culture. On April 20th, 2006, the federal government proclaimed May as Jewish American Heritage Month, stating, as a nation of immigrants, the United States is better and stronger because Jewish people from all over the world have chosen to become American citizens. So many generations of people from all over the world, including Jewish individuals and their families, have come to the United States in search of a better life for themselves, their families, and their descendants. Jewish Americans enrich every part of American life as educators, as entrepreneurs, as athletes and artists, as science and entertainers, as public officials and activists, as labor and community leaders, as diplomats and military service members, public health heroes, and more. In recent years, Jewish Americans have increasingly experienced acts of anti-Semitism, acts that are unconscionable and carry terrifying echoes of the worst chapters in human history. These acts of anti-Semitism do not just strike against the Jewish individuals, they are a threat to other minority communities, and I take it personally myself. I added that isn't here. The city of Walnut Creek celebrates diversity and has an obligation to condemn and combat discrimination, bigotry, hatred, and anti-Semitism wherever it exists. I, Luella Haskew, Mayor of the City of Walnut Creek, on behalf of the City of Walnut Creek Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Walnut Creek and encourage all Walnut Creek to celebrate diversity and support opportunities to learn more about Jewish American history, culture, and contributions. And would the rabbi come forward, please?
Two rabbis.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you so much. I'm Jenny Shavon.
Nice to see you.
Hi.
Oh, thank you. I bet you have something to say.
Thank you for having us. My name is Rabbi Jenny Shavon, and I serve as the Rabbi of Congregation B'nai Tikva in Walnut Creek.
And I'm Rabbi Jill Perlman, and I serve as the Rabbi of Temple Isaiah in Lafayette, which also serves Walnut Creek.
On behalf of our communities and the greater Walnut Creek Jewish community, we are grateful for your work to adopt this resolution, beautifully written, recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month. During Jewish American Heritage Month, we celebrate and reflect on over 350 years of Jewish life and contributions to American society. We celebrate and lift up the ways that Jews and Jewish values have helped to shape and impact our country and who we are through music, thought, scientific breakthroughs, and more. Our people's story is one of resilience and hope and has inspired so many through hardship to dream of better tomorrows and a time when we can all be free.
While this is certainly a time to celebrate Jewish contributions, we must also note, as you have shared, the still present and rising threat of anti-Semitism in our midst, and how we, even right here in this chamber, are not immune. During Jewish American Heritage Month, not only must we celebrate Jewish Americans, but we must also use this time to rededicate ourselves to fighting anti-Semitism and baseless hate all year long. We call upon you as our leadership and all people of conscience to refute anti-Semitism however and from wherever it emerges.
Thank you for adopting this resolution. We appreciate the support of the Jews in our community and all the work you do to lead us, and we look forward to the many ways we can partner together in the future. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere.
I know, don't go anywhere. Go ahead. Take your time.
Push it the right way. Niglito. Pay me enough. I don't have the other one. Where's the other one? Youth one? Excuse me, okay. We have the presentation, the Youth Presidential Service Awards, and would the Youth Council come up, Commission? Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us tonight, Council. My name is Ella Copper, and I am this year's chair of the Walnut Creek Youth Commission. And tonight we are here to celebrate and recognize a few of our youth here in Walnut Creek who have served our community. The Presidential Volunteer Service Award can go to any Walnut Creek youth who has served our community, and it is for grades K through 12. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Anna Sophia, who will introduce our first recipient.
Hello, my name is Anna Sophia Ivanova, and I am a freshman at Los Lomas High School. Today, I'm going to be presenting the gold winner of the Presidential Service Award, Logan Book. Logan Book volunteered 102 hours for the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Program. He assisted with the team trainings, logistics, and search preparations, and is excited to continue his work assisting the team and the community. Logan Book, please come up to receive your award. Congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julia Chow, and I'm here to present an award to Emily Kim and Ethan Kim on behalf of the Walnut Creek Youth Leadership Commission. As student ambassadors for the local food rescue organization, White Pony Express, siblings Emily and Ethan Kim introduced new volunteers from nearby charities and youth organizations. Ethan, who is also a member of our Youth Leadership Commission, is unable to be here today. As volunteers with White Pony Express, they sort food at the distribution center every weekend while visiting farmers markets to raise awareness of food insecurity in the community. On some weekends, they go on truck runs to Whole Foods stores across Contra Costa to rescue and deliver food items. Can Emily Kim come to receive her rewards?
Hello, City Council and members of the public. My name is Adam Tarr, and I will be presenting the award for Alexandra Perlman. Alexandra Perlman started volunteering at the Agnesio Valley Library in August. She helps 1st through 8th grade students with math every weekend. She also started volunteering at an online tutoring platform called UPachieve, which is for low-income middle and high school students, and she mostly helps with reading and writing. Alexandra Perlman, can you please come up to receive your award?
Hi, my name is Renee Joseph, and I'm excited to present this award. So this award is for Shruti Shyam. She volunteered at the county library for 60 hours, doing tasks from taking books off the shelves to volunteering at events hosted at the library. She also volunteered at her music school at Shruti Swaralaya for 80 hours, where she helped teach beginner students about the art of Indian classical music. So, Shruti Shyam, I'd like to call you up.
Thank you, and actually, you don't get away without having your picture taken. So I'm at least calling it from here. So would you all winners and presenters come up here, and the council will join you in front. And the party's not over. Now we have a presentation from the Walnut Creek Open Space celebrating the 50th anniversary, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, Mayor Haskew, council members, city and staff. My name is Andrea Baldacci, and I'm currently the president of the Walnut Creek Historical Society. We're here tonight to invite you and the Walnut Creek community to join us in our celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Walnut Creek Open Space. June 6th this year marks 50 years to the day of the passing of Measures F and G, which ensured the protection of our beloved natural spaces from development. The Walnut Creek Historical Society is partnering with the City of Walnut Creek and the Walnut Creek Open Space Foundation on a year-long celebration featuring a calendar of projects and activities for the community to participate in, and a passport to adventure, highlighting our spaces, namely Shell Ridge, Acalanes, Lime Ridge, Sugarloaf, Borges Ranch, the Howe Homestead Estate, and our very own Shadelands Ranch. Local artist Allie McKay, who many of you have known, she's done some more big belly art. She's done lovely murals down by Sasa. She came up with the passport cover featuring the infamous Walnut Creek tree and the eagle that's evolved actually from the Walnut Creek Open Space original logo. She also created individual logos for the spaces. Well, the circular logo that we've been using on all of our communications and publications, and then she also created individual logos for each of the spaces, and they will be used in the passports so that when people actually go to the spaces, much like the national parks, you can put them on the pages of the spaces you've visited.
Yeah.
I think you each have a copy, right? So you can see it. Okay, thank you. The 50th anniversary celebration will begin with a kickoff event at Shadelands Ranch Museum on Thursday, June 6th from 4 to 6. This free community celebration will include presentations and acknowledgments, live music, community outreach from local organizations, refreshments, and the launching of the Walnut Creek Open Space exhibit inside of the museum. The exhibition at the Shadelands Museum will run from June 6th until early August and will showcase a visual timeline of events and milestones featuring maps, memorabilia, communications, and photos. Our museum will also feature an art show presented by the Valley Art Gallery of Walnut Creek. So the whole bottom floor of our museum at Shadelands will be filled with art and photography from Valley Arts, which we're very grateful for. And we also have a special wildlife exhibit generally displayed by Lindsay Wildlife Museum. Not live, but they have taxidermy animals, and one of our rooms will completely be devoted to wildlife education. We're very grateful for these organizations' participation in this monumental occasion. The Walnut Creek Historical Society Board has thoroughly enjoyed working with the Walnut Creek City staff, namely Mike Vickers, Belinda Tran, and Head Open Space Ranger Corey Frazier, as well as the Walnut Creek Open Space President Leslie Hunt, to bring the celebration to life for our community. We invite you to drop by the Shadelands Museum grounds on June 6th to be the first to pick up your 50th anniversary commemorative passport and enjoy a fun evening launching our celebration of the land that we enjoy as our Walnut Creek Open Space today. The celebration will then continue on Saturday, June 8th at Borges Ranch with a day filled with activities for people of all ages. Free shuttles from Northgate High School will take groups up to the ranch to enjoy Lindsay Wife wild animal displays, the 4-H demonstrations, a petting zoo, pony rides for children, and mechanical bull rides for adults, food trucks, and more. So more information for all these events can be found on the Walnut Creek Historical Society websites and the city websites as well. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Okay, but you don't get away without a picture, too.
No, you don't need my picture.
And I'm suggesting the council each come with their passport.
Oh. All right. Should I hold that?
Okay. The council glad we're finished with that part of the thing. We are now up to public communications. No, excuse me, yeah, I turned the page too fast. We're up to consent calendar. Does any council member wish to pull an item? Seeing none, does anybody in the public wish to come and talk about an item that's on our consent calendar? I see none. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve consent calendar items A through H with the amendment for the CCTA agreement that was presented at the dais.
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Darling.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilk.
Aye.
Mayor Haskew.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, now we're up to public communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for comments on items not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the council cannot act on items raised during public communications, but may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed, request clarification, or refer the item to staff. Consistent with Section 9.5 of the City Council Handbook, 30 minutes will be allocated at this time for public communications for items not on the agenda. Additional time for public communications not on the agenda will be carried to the end of the meeting if necessary. I would like to remind members of the public, if you would like to provide comments, please fill out a speaker card, and it needs to be completed and turned into the city clerk. You will have 2 minutes to address the city council. Please keep in mind that this is a city business meeting. The council has adopted rules of decorum to ensure that meetings are conducted effectively, efficiently, and that all members of the public have a full, fair, and equal opportunity to be heard. The City Council Handbook outlines decorum expected at the chamber and can be found on our website. All remarks should be addressed to the City Council. Please do not use threatening, profane, or abusive language which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the City Council. Okay, if you have a public comment, please come forward. I have several cards. If you will line up behind the podium, that would be great. You can start.
Yes, good evening, council members. My name is Marty Valuva, and I'm a lifetime resident of Walnut Creek. And I'm here to state that the city of Walnut Creek has an avenue to challenge the East Bay Mud Walnut Creek pretreatment plant project, which the neighbors of Akalani's Ridge firmly oppose based on numerous safety issues presented at the April 16th city council meeting. And I'm going to go ahead and submit a document that will explain further. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Pat, resident of Martinez. Just want to thank the mayor and city council for recognizing the Jewish culture in our society. To honor Jewish American Heritage Month, I would like to pay tribute to some famous Jewish Americans: Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Albert Einstein, Jonas Salk. I also want to recognize the American Jewish recipients of the Medal of Honor: Civil War Benjamin Levy, World War I William Shemin, World War II Benjamin L. Solomon, and the Vietnam War Jack Jacobs. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Barbara Guinness, and I've been a resident of Walnut Creek since 1996. I wanted to congratulate the Walnut Creek Open Space Foundation for, congratulate the Open Space Foundation for being an advocate for the native plants and wildlife in the Walnut Creek open spaces for 50 years now. Hopefully we all realize how important this organization is for the city of Walnut Creek. It's also very essential that city staff, especially those responsible for protecting our open spaces, also value the Walnut Creek Open Space Foundation and their suggestions, opinions that come from years and years of service to the city in protecting and preserving our open spaces for 50 years now. City Council also mentions open space protection in its priorities for the next couple years. This too is very important for the council and citizens to remember. I just wanted to mention 3 items about the open spaces. Did you know that in October 2023, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife declared the native plant Lime Ridge woolly star, or Lime Ridge eriastrum, as an endangered species? It exists only in Lime Ridge open space. Nowhere else in the world does it exist. Also, did you know that the threatened Alameda whip snake lives in the Lime Ridge open space? It's classified as threatened by both California and federal government. Third item, did you know a biologist hired by the city found red-legged frog tadpoles in the Lime Ridge open space? Those tadpoles didn't just fall out of the sky, so the presence of these tadpoles prove that the red-legged frog also exists in Lime Ridge open space, and it's considered endangered by the federal government. The items listed above should make everyone stop and realize that the Walnut Creek open spaces are very valuable to the citizens of Walnut Creek. And even more importantly, the open spaces are the home to lots and lots of native plants and wildlife that greatly deserve to be protected, conserved, and preserved. Thank you for all the people that help with the open spaces. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Marjorie Wallace, and I'm a member of the Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church in Walnut Creek. And I'm happy to be here with other church members in support of our Jewish friends and neighbors who are exercising their First Amendment right to freedom of religion and their right to dignity and respect, as all people are entitled to. And I just want to leave you with a really short vignette that I got from my La Cañada Presbyterian minister when I was a little girl, a long time ago. And he told me the story of a Protestant minister who I believe ended up murdered by anti-Semitic Nazis at Dachau. And this Protestant German minister said, when they came for the mentally infirmed and physically infirmed, I was neither, so I said nothing. When they came for the homosexuals, I said nothing because I wasn't homosexual. And when they came for the Jews, I said nothing because I wasn't Jewish. But when they came for me, no one said anything because there was no one left. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Elise Vernacci. In 1974, the citizens of Walnut Creek voted to set aside approximately 2,500 acres of undeveloped ridgelands purchased with the proceeds of a bond issued with the intent that they remain in a near-natural state in perpetuity. I've personally spoken with Audrey Bramhall and Hardy Miller, 2 members of the original founding people who formed the open space, about the problem at Sutherland Drive and the poppies. They both took strong offense to creating an attraction and a garden in the open space. That was not the intent nor the purpose. This personal habitat restoration directly flies in the face of the natural mandate. It is not natural to weed, seed, water, and garden in the open space, nor to create trails without approvals, which draw thousands of people every Saturday and Sunday and spill into the weekdays too. A small group of people have commandeered a garden spot in the open space without regards to those of us who have paid premiums to live on quiet, dead-end streets in a quiet, safe neighborhood where we could look out for one another. This is all gone due to the attractive nuisance and its effect of completely filling our streets with cars, strangers, substantially increasing the chances of catastrophic fire danger, with traffic making emergency responses impossible. Now that the effects of this less formal restoration project, which is a quote from the words of the Open Space Foundation, are known, it's time to completely and immediately stop gardening in the open space and allow the original intent of near natural to return. This neighborhood plans, the Virginia Court and Sutherland Drive neighborhood, plans to fight to restore our habitat at every level of government, to fight for our rights to have our homes and safety and property values not undermined by the very few people who do not live in the neighborhood and tend this attractive nuisance, which ultimately leaves the city responsible and exposed for all damages. We would like to request to be on your agenda for a further discussion of this situation at the next council meeting.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Susan Bomba. I live at 131 Sutherland Drive. I've been a resident there for nearly 40 years. As a newly retired couple and empty nesters, for the first time, we are fearful of leaving our home due to the hordes of people that parade down our street, sit in their cars, and litter on my lawns. I'm also fearful that my homeowner's insurance could be canceled once the insurance companies use their satellites to see the lines of cars and the trails of people in the nearby hills that the newly trails have been attracting. This restoration project has created tremendous stress in our neighborhood. There are no sidewalks. There's people up there at night. I've called the city police, the non-emergency number. I've been told not to worry about it. We've had to ask people not to go to the bathroom, not to smoke. I've had to pick up litter, empty cars. I couldn't get out of my driveway to drive my daughters to the airport. I had to get out and physically stop people. It's gotten completely out of hand. Because our streets are in the county is telling me that they can't man it over the weekends. They don't have the resources. It's the city's problem. The city is telling me because they're county streets, it's the county's problem. We would like to be on the agenda to problem solve with you to protect the serenity of our neighborhood and to return to our natural habitat, a safe and quiet neighborhood. Thank you.
Please, no clapping anymore. If you wish to raise your hands like that, please. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anina Dawson. I've been a longtime resident of Walnut Creek over 20 years. I'm a business owner in this community. I'm a former board member of the Historical Society of Walnut Creek. And the reason I'm here tonight is to very humbly offer my appreciation for the proclamation that you gave tonight about Jewish Heritage Month. I've really been so proud of our city's government over the last several years that I've lived here, that on issues of social justice, you all have done the right thing and really protected the values of this community. So with sincere gratitude, I thank you tonight.
Honorable members of the City Council, I am the Reverend Leslie Takahashi. I am a resident of Martinez. I am also, though, the lead minister at Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church, so I spend quite a few hours here in Walnut Creek. And I want to also say that I am grateful to you for your proclamation of honoring Jewish Heritage Week, and also to say that all of us need to recommit to making sure that we do not take for granted, because of a proclamation, the need to continue to be diligent about protecting the rights for all to live in a city free of hate. My colleague Rodney Lemery spoke here a couple months ago against expressions of hatred that have been experienced by the Jewish community and our Jewish kin, and we understand that these have continued. So we want to again say that we encourage all community members, regardless of their faith backgrounds, to show that Walnut Creek is a city defined by unity, love, and mutual respect. And I know there are many in the room with us today who share this value of embracing love. And I just invite them today, if you share this, to just raise your hand for one moment and to invite our Jewish kin to just look around and to know that you are not alone. May Walnut Creek be a place and sanctuary for healing in this broken world. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Pam Whitman, and I'm a resident of Walnut Creek. And I've wanted to write something about a virus in Walnut Creek. We all know that when someone has a cold or flu, that they are not well, and we avoid them to prevent us from getting the same cold or flu. This is a virus. We can reduce our chances of getting sick by using a mask, washing hands, and distancing ourselves from them. We all learned this before kindergarten and had a larger crash course when COVID affected the world in 2020. Of course, there are some who think this was not real and science was wrong. A computer virus is defined as malicious software and causing damage to data and software. The intent is to disrupt systems, cause operational issues, and result in data loss. Maybe there are some people who think this is not real. Either way, if you believe it or not, viruses exist. They search for the vulnerable to infect the host and make copies of itself. It appears that we've been having a virus at the Walnut Creek City meetings that keeps trying to look for the right host and make copies of itself to weaken and disrupt the system. I am sure that we are not the only city the virus has been trying to infiltrate. Walnut Creek and its neighboring cities work very hard to protect our communities to stay healthy and strong. We build our communities with being inclusive to all people. Our immune system has a strong foundation. When we get viruses, it challenges our system. However, we have been getting vaccines to reduce the impact a virus can have on our system. This virus has affected the community to respond, and in the end, our immune system will prevail and become stronger. We refuse to be a host to this festering virus. We are a community that is ready to wear that mask, wash our hands, and distance ourselves from viruses.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name's Christine Donahoe. I'm a resident of Walnut Creek. And I want to read this on behalf of my neighborhood, our friends and families. We are writing on behalf of our family to express our unwavering commitment to fostering an inclusive and welcoming community here in Walnut Creek. As residents who have deliberately chosen this city 25 years ago as our home to raise our children, we hold deeply rooted values of respect, tolerance, and acceptance. In recent times, we have witnessed instances of hate speech that have deeply troubled us. We want to make it unequivocally clear that such rhetoric has no place in our city, nor in any civilized society. As parents, neighbors, and community members, we are deeply concerned about the impact such messages could have on the well-being and development of children, as well as the fabric of our community. We believe in the strength of diversity and the power of unity. Our city is enriched by the myriad of cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives that its residents bring. It is the diversity that makes Walnut Creek a vibrant place to call home, and we are committed to preserving and celebrating it. Therefore, we urge the City Council to take a firm stance against hate speech and to continue promoting policies and initiatives that uphold the principles of equality, inclusion, and mutual respect. By doing so, we can ensure that Walnut Creek remains a safe and nurturing environment for all of its residents, both present and future. Thank you for your attention to this important matter, and we stand ready to support any efforts that promote unity and understanding within our community.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Wexler. I'm a Walnut Creek resident for 30 plus years. I have a letter here that my husband wrote. We are Jewish. We've raised our 4 girls Jewish, our rabbis here. And he wanted me, he's not able to come, so he wanted me to read this to you. And this has to do with previous guests that you've had speak. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I apologize for not being personally present to express my thoughts on this very important Holocaust Remembrance Day. The Holocaust was real. I lost my grandfather's 4 brothers and their families to the Nazi atrocities. There is no room in our country, state, and definitely not in our beautiful city for such vile sentiment against Jews or anyone else. I've been a Walnut Creek resident for 40 years and can proudly report that this city does not support or stand for the venomous language spoken by a fringe anti-Semite that has sullied this chamber. I can only hope that the Nazi sympathizer gets the help he clearly needs. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Hardy Miller. I'm a 56-year resident of Walnut Creek. I live in Oak Knoll Loop in the city here. I'm here to speak about the open space. From the mid-'70s, well, first of all, you've heard reference to the election in '74. We know about that. I was involved from the mid-'70s to the mid-'80s in the foundation, the R8, and the city council, Park and Rec, and managing the open space. What wasn't said about the election, which I think is important, it was a community election. It's like a circle was drawn around Walnut Creek, and like a sphere of influence, whether you were a county resident or a city resident, you voted. And not only did you vote, once the vote was favorable, you paid for 30 years. So my theme here is county residents on this issue, managing the Walnut Creek open space. I think they should have standing. I think their input is important. And so I'd like to urge you to listen to them just like you would listen to somebody's city resident. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Hardy. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Mary Taylor. I'm a resident of Walnut Creek. Previously served on the DEI task force, currently serve on the Chiefs Advisory Board. And I am here to commend the city and the council for the commitment to DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is so very, very important. I understand you've had an agreement with Ready Set to make sure that it is implemented. And Christine did such an amazing job of her description, so I don't need to repeat all of that. But I just want to say I appreciate your efforts. You've taken it seriously, and we look forward to the results that will come out of it. Okay, thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Susan Hildreth. I live in Rossmore in Walnut Creek. And I recently was appointed to the Measure O Oversight Committee, and I was very pleased today to receive an email telling me that I needed to take my diversity, equity, and inclusion training. And I'm happy to do so, and I'm echoing Mary Taylor's sentiments about your commitment, the city's commitment to inclusivity. I'm also here speaking in honor of Holocaust Remembrance Day and your proclamation on Jewish American Heritage Month. I know we are an inclusive community, and we do everything we can to defeat anti-Semitism. I don't need to repeat all these wonderful words, but we are here to make sure that our community remains inclusive. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Annette Ramirez. I'm local 856 Teamster Union representative. As you may already know, the Teamsters members, which are seated here in the back, our trusty team of dispatch employees, are currently engaged in contract negotiations. And we just want to respectfully urge that the city recognize the importance of safety dispatch, telecommunications, and the hard work that the Teamsters provide for the city. We do realize that Police Safety Week has been acknowledged, as well as telecommunications. So we just urge that the city allow us to negotiate a fair contract and fair wages for our city workers. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Crystal Clark-Briffa. I'm a resident of Walnut Creek at Virginia Court in Sutherland, right next to the Shell Ridge Open Space, and would like to share some recent happenings created by the activities occurring at this trailhead. Based on the history of this open space, the original intention was for the space to be available to Walnut Creek residents. With the recent addition of the native flowers and poppies, it has now become an attraction nuisance that is causing many unsafe and hazardous conditions in our neighborhood. The open space area is supposed to be remaining as close to a natural element as possible. The volunteers continue to seed, plant, and water flowers on the mountainside. These activities are not natural. Watering and seeding would be considered gardening. The open space now acts as a state park within Walnut Creek. On the weekends alone, thousands of cars are coming, blocking fire hydrants and driveways. The intersection of Virginia Court and Sutherland is like a loading zone. People are dropping off passengers and can barely turn around because of the congestion. There are numerous dogs off leashes that run in the streets and trample through our properties, increased litter on the streets, and properties getting marred because of people parking in their cars and stepping onto the properties. These activities are not isolated to the weekends. It happens during the week as well. For the times it has happened during the week, we have also not had our postal service or garbage picked up. There have been people smoking in the open space, and if emergency vehicles needed to get through, it would be quite challenging and may not even fit. The families with children, me being one of them, cannot even have their kids play in the front yard because of the number of speeding cars and traffic. There are numerous other issues caused by this attraction nuisance. We want our voices to be heard and our concerns to be addressed and have a prompt resolution to this problem. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. I'm Sherry Goldsmith. Been a resident. I'm Sherry Goldsmith. Good evening. I've been a resident for 24 years. I'm a graduate of the Walnut Creek Citizenship Program, and I've been a Bedford Gallery art docent since 2012. And I love this city. I want to commend you for being a council that's full of integrity and courage and what you have done. And I wrote something down I want to read to you. Way back in 1790, George Washington came to the city of Providence, Rhode Island, where I happen to have many cousins. And he wrote and read a letter to the brand new Jewish community that was there way back in 1790. And he reassured us that those who fled from religious persecution and tyranny would have a good life in the new nation. And that was a magnificent gesture on his part. And on my father's side, my daughter is actually fourth-generation American. There's a lot I could say, but I want to volunteer my services. In my 20 years working at media, sadly, I'm no longer there, but people don't read newspapers very much these days. But I was at the Contra Costa Times, and I also worked with the LA Daily News and the Denver Post and the Mercury News and on and on and on. And during those years, my function was to create partnerships and interact with educational curriculum that is not taught in the schools and is not in the textbooks. So all those years, there was always March, Women's History Month, February, Black History Month, Hispanic History Month, Asian American History Month. Not one time in 20 years was there an American Jewish heritage where the kids actually learned about the enormous contributions that Jewish Americans have donated and given so proudly and happily in medicine, in science, in music. So I will volunteer my services to help create curriculum. I've had many partnerships with people like Oracle, Wells Fargo, you name it.
Got it.
And I would like to help develop a curriculum because if
Yes,
the kids
your 2
don't
minutes
learn
are
it
up. I'm
starting
sorry.
in elementary school, let me just finish this one sentence. They don't learn it. And it is frightening when I hear people say the youth who are supposed to be our future leaders, they're just ignorant about way too many things. Thank you very much for listening.
Next speaker, please. 2-minute reminder.
Yeah, right. My name's Evan Smith. I live off of Sutherland Drive. I have a prepared statement. Perhaps insignificant in the scope of things, I appreciate your attention on the matter of the Shell Ridge open space. A good deal of work has been done at the Shell Ridge open space in the name of improvement. So to begin with, I'd like to be clear that I'm not opposed to the use of the space. I am, on the other hand, opposed to the development of the space and to the promotion of the development. As much as I do appreciate the good intention and the hard work, I'm here to consider the unintended consequence. The primary observations that I make, aside from being an attractive nuisance, I propose that there is nothing natural about the natural habitat. With that in mind, I submit that the council, that the development must come to an end. In short order, return this open space to its natural habitat. No more water, no more planting and seeding, no more trails, and no more fences. We have allowed the development of the space, and this is having a significant impact on our neighborhood. It was never like this before. The traffic is new to the development, and it is simply not acceptable. Our quiet little neighborhood has been turned upside down by the traffic. We have significant concerns about the exposure as well to entirely new communities. We are concerned about the safety, our safety, and the safety of our beloved children and our pets. We are concerned that the security of our homes and the property have been compromised as well. Please understand that we take no pleasure in any of this, but we must protect the interest, our interests. We have paid dearly for the privilege to be here, and we simply cannot expect to be, cannot be expected to tolerate the conditions that have been levied on the neighborhood. So with that said, we must demand that development comes to an end in short order. Oh, I've already read that one, sorry. Yeah, so thank you, appreciate it.
It was done with emphasis. Okay, is there anyone else that needs to speak? I'm seeing no one coming forward. So now may we we're going to take a 10-minute break. So see you after that.
that too. Please, would you mind?
Welcome back. We're on to the next item, and that would be council member and staff announcements and report on activities or requests. City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There were no reportable actions in closed session this evening.
City Manager.
Yeah, good evening, Dan Buckshire. Two updates this evening. One is related to the A3 mental health crisis response program that has been a region-wide approach for just what it sounds like, mental health emergent care. And I want to highlight that a dashboard is available that contains a considerable amount of information about usage of this program, and it is being very heavily used, even for being a relatively new program. You can check out the dashboard at cchealth.org. This is a collaborative effort with the 19 cities in Contra Costa County. And just to give you a sense of scale, the program is now receiving 400 calls a week and is sending over 50 in-person responses. Teams of clinicians, sometimes paired with law enforcement, are being dispatched on a weekly basis, and the average response time is 20 minutes overall. Countywide, 18 minutes for Walnut Creek. So these are calls that we don't know where they would have been going otherwise. They may not have been made. They may have been going to law enforcement or may have been going to a hospital, but now there is somebody to receive those calls and to respond in person to help address someone in a mental health crisis. Wanted to highlight that. And then the other thing is that to acknowledge that this week is Municipal Clerks Week, and it's the 55th anniversary of that, so I want to acknowledge the fine work of our city clerk team. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do Cindy Darling, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll go first. So this is a report of the things that have happened. I did, after the last council meeting, I went to the Community Choice Aggregate statewide meeting that was down in San Jose, and as Marin County's, or MCE's representative. And the MCE was proud to receive 3 separate awards at that to recognize the work that we have all done to help our communities with their sustainability and with equity. Earth Day, several of us went out to celebrate Earth Day at Civic Park. Kevin and the mayor and I were all there, and that was lots of fun. The League of California Cities, several of us, I think almost all of us, went to that and heard from Rob Bonta talking about potential legislative fixes in various and sundry things that are important to us, and that was good to hear. The Heather Farm, the Gardens at Heather Farm, the building reopened, and my husband and I had our wedding venue there 28 years ago, and so we went down to go check it out because we were also shopping for wedding venues for our children, and you know, he's a thrifty man. He thought that might be good. But we did discover, we went out onto the deck there, and 28 years ago, you could see Mount Diablo, but those trees have grown up, so you can no longer take the picture that we took when we had ours. Many of us were at the Authors Gala celebrating our library. And then I went to the Walnut Creek Watershed Planning meeting. They had one here in Walnut Creek focusing on different restoration opportunities within Walnut Creek. When the Watershed Council finishes that report, it will be a good tool for a lot of the jurisdictions around here as money becomes available to do wetlands or other restorations. It'll be a great way to coordinate that. And then the last thing is I missed the law enforcement thing the other week because my daughter and I went back to the funeral for Tobin Bolter, who was a Walnut Creek cadet and Pleasant Hill police officer, and then went to Ada County and died in the line of duty. And his wife, Abby, is a longtime friend of ours, and we first met Tobin. He was a scrawny little 7th grader with a crew cut, and the girls were sitting there at the church youth group, and they saw this really weird guy, like, checking him out. And then he gets over and he army crawls across the room and he pops up in front of them and he goes, "Hi, I'm Tobin." And that was the day he decided he was going to marry Abby. And we will all miss him terribly. So that's it.
Well, thank you. A few things to report on. The League of California Cities had its annual City Leader Summit in Sacramento just after our last meeting. There were more than 400 elected officials and appointed officials that were there. We were learning from each other and also advocating with our legislators in Sacramento on various bills and objectives that we have. One important item that we discussed numerous times, Councilmember Wilk was there as well, was related to the initiative that has been brought forward by the California Business Roundtable to change the way we do taxes in the state. And it will go in front of the state Supreme Court tomorrow for a hearing on whether it will be allowed to make it to the ballot, because it is fundamentally not an amendment to the Constitution, it is a revision. And revisions can't be done by referendum. So we'll see how this turns out in the next 45 days. We attended 2 sessions, I think you were at both of those sessions, where they discussed the impact at the local level if this were to be adopted by the voters. And fundamentally, it is catastrophic. And we'll continue to have conversations about that. There was also a press conference on it in the Capitol Park. Another session that I attended that was really interesting, and I look forward to having a conversation about it first at our Housing and Community Development Subcommittee at the Council, was related to housing and homelessness and some innovative solutions for temporary homeless housing that they're doing in Santa Barbara County. And we're looking forward to Hope Village here, but those are also very expensive, and they're trying to get it where they can get temporary housing done in a matter of weeks for less than $250,000. And it's been working in Santa Barbara County, so there may be some good lessons to be had there. Finally, I will mention, but I will hand it over then to my colleague, Matt Francois, who also is a member of the Recycle Smart Board. We have issued an RFP for a new 10-year contract for collection services the collection will come next, but post-collection services for Recycle Smart. And we had more than a dozen interested parties and potential providers attend the pre-proposal conference. And this is to secure ultimately the contract for garbage, recycling, and organic services for the 6 entities that are involved in Recycle Smart, which is Danville, Walnut Creek, the La Miranda communities, and the Contra Costa unincorporated areas that weave us together. Will be worth more than $60 billion. And so that's million. Well, I like the billion number, but and so that will be continuing to work forward. And that would be all. Maybe I can hand it to Matt, and then he can.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I, along with you, attended the Big Band of Rossmore event on the 17th, which was a combination of a big band from the Rossmore community, but also from a lot of our local middle schools and high schools, which each got to perform first, and then they did an ensemble together, which was really fun to see and participate in. Very impressive, talented young people. One woman was a singer from DVC who I think got a scholarship to go to the prestigious Berklee School of Music in Boston. Glad to attend that. I also attended the Board of Directors meeting of the Chamber of Commerce, and we received a really interesting update. They had an economic impact study done on the Revel Half Marathon. That was the half marathon that didn't happen because it was scheduled for the first weekend of March. And if you'll recall, it was very stormy that day, and it was supposed to start at the summit of Mount Diablo and run down to Arbolado Park. But there was snow on the mountain and rain and winds exceeding 40 miles per hour, so it got canceled. But most of the people that had signed up for that half marathon were from out of town. They were already in town, and they had booked, lodging and accommodations and gone out to dinner. And so from that one event, the consultant compiled that it raised over $750,000. And they attributed that to the number of out-of-town residents that were here for the event and the sponsor of the event being Revel, that a lot of serious runners will go because they are sponsoring that event. So that was really interesting to hear about and keep in mind in terms of future events and sports tourism that we can support and promote here in Walnut Creek. Also, I'd be remiss not to mention that June 1st and 2nd is the annual Art and Wine Festival for the Chamber at Heather Farm Park. That's always a fun event. There's opportunities to volunteer at various different booths there. And so looking forward to that coming up on our calendars. I did attend the Recycle Smart Board meeting on the 25th. And as Councilmember Silva mentioned, we are in the RFP process for post-collection services now. We do have the opportunity as board members to tour some of the facilities of the proposers that have put in bids. So I'm going to try to take advantage of doing that to compare and contrast. We adopted positions on our legislative agenda, and I believe Councilmember Silva is on that committee, where essentially requiring and promoting additional recycling of textiles, propane cylinders, EV batteries, and solar panels. There will also be additional procurement options for cities that we want to be watching. One bill that would give us additional options and avenues to comply with SB 1383, so we're strongly supporting that measure. I did have the opportunity to attend Earth Day on April 20th here at Civic Park, and I know that there were activities happening all throughout the district, and wanted to thank again Recycle Smart staff who took time out of their weekends, including our executive director, to attend all those events in Danville, Lafayette, and Walnut Creek. That was a fun time. In listening to you, I realized I did other things too, so thank you. There were a few. Did attend the East Bay Division meeting with my colleagues here and heard from the Attorney General, potentially governor candidate, and interesting to hear that his strong take on combating organized retail theft and the activities that he's doing in his department to make progress on that. And then finally, was enjoyed attending, as always, our annual Authors Gala, raising money for our library foundation here in Walnut Creek. Had a great author, Judge Lise Perlman, who wrote a book about the Lindbergh kidnapping. And very, very interesting read. I'm still working my way through it, but it was a pleasure to meet her and to celebrate the libraries. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Kevin, please.
So round it up. Well, first, I just wanted to acknowledge and thank all the speakers that spoke earlier. It was a diverse view on a variety of different areas, but it was celebrating diversity and welcoming. And while a lot of those speakers have already left, I recognize a lot of them that I didn't recognize. And it just shows that love defeats hate, and Walnut Creek proves it. A couple of people mentioned about Holocaust Remembrance Day, which was yesterday, and a day to remember the horrors of the Holocaust and to make sure that we don't make those same mistakes, to remember the 6 million Jews and millions of others murdered by the Nazis, and we must never forget. And this is why it's so important that we all stand up against anti-Semitism and hate, and why everyone who came tonight to speak out against hate is important for our democracy and our freedom. And so I am so proud of Walnut Creek and the community around us that came to show their support tonight. A couple of my colleagues have talked about some of the things that I did with them. One of the areas was the Cal Cities Leadership Summit that Councilmember Silva had mentioned. The other thing that they talked about there that I attended was about public safety. And there were a couple of very important sessions on that, including what we can do to combat organized retail theft, as we heard the Attorney General talk about in the East Bay as well, but also some of the modifications that could potentially be made to Prop 47, where we are able to take control a little bit more to ensure that people that commit crimes have consequences and accountability for them. So that, along with the Taxpayer Act, were really the two of the biggest things that came out of that leadership summit for me. Yes, it was Earth Day, Authors Gala, same things that we've heard about. Something I hadn't heard about was First Wednesday. That was, Walnut Creek Downtown sponsored that. It was the first Wednesday in May, and it's going to be in the first Wednesday in August. And if you missed it, it was amazing. There were thousands of people that were there. It was the largest that I have ever seen. There, we see Walnut Creek Downtown waving hands in the back. It was so many booths, activities for everybody, music, food, drinks. Be there in August. It was incredible. I also want to mention that this Saturday, May 11th, is the Walnut Creek Aquanuts Celebration of Champions. We've heard a lot about swimming in aquanuts over the last couple of months when it comes to Heather Farm, but this is a chance to see our own worldwide renowned aquanuts, including the U.S. Olympic team, the one that is looking at going to the Olympics this summer in Paris, that's going to be at the Heather Farm Swim Center this Saturday. So check that out. And I represent Walnut Creek on the board of directors for County Connection. So keep an eye out for, in the next couple of months, there is going to be the Summer Youth Pass marketing program, which will be coming out for the fall. We'll see more about that as the time comes. And the last thing I want to mention is I was at the Walnut Creek Police Department Awards and Honors along with our mayor this last week, and it's truly something to celebrate the people that keep us safe and the public safety, and to catch the bad guys in Walnut Creek, and to make Walnut Creek feel not just that it's a welcoming community that we've heard about for all these times, but that it's a safe community. And with that, I was inspired to do my annual ride-along, which I did on Friday night with Corporal Mare, and it was quite an experience, just being able to see what the police officers do during their shift on a nightly basis. Sometimes there's flare-ups and sometimes there isn't. This happened to be a fairly quiet night, but just to see all that they go through and the eagle eye in being able to find cars where there's just something not looking quite right, and sure enough, turns out there's some issues there, or following up on alarms that are coming, whether it's from churches or homes. It's incredible. And anybody can do a ride-along. Just call the police department and you can schedule a ride-along as well. But it was terrific. Kudos to the Walnut Creek PD. You do a great job. I think everybody that comes to Walnut Creek, lives here, works here, plays here, really appreciates the work that you do. So thank you. That's my report.
Gosh, we were busy. I had lots of time at the Contra Costa Transportation Authority where we got a legislative update and had a presentation about expanded ferry service. It looks like Hercules has been the one that comes in after Richmond. I attended, I am the chair of the mayor's conference, so of course I attended it. We had two presentations, one on what we have to do about the bay rise as the ocean, which affects the bay. It all comes out, and it's all going to cost us money. It was followed closely by an announcement that they're starting a program about the serious nutrients in the bay, which is killing it. And therefore, we're all going to have to shoulder a lot of expense while we figure out how to fix our water cleaning system, central sand system. And so I've left that in the hands of our able bodied city manager who will make sure that we survive. Not my job. Not my job. Okay. The Mayor Pro Tem and I attended the Little League Jamboree. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it's a big gathering of all these baseball teams with kids who have challenges, coordination and mental, all fascinating. And they all get together and they all play baseball, and apparently everybody scores a run no matter what happens. I attended two committees for Contra Costa Transportation Authority. One was as a substitute for somebody else, and one of the discussions was making CCTA more known to the community, because here it is doing all the transportation stuff for our whole county. And if I ask somebody what is CCTA, they look at me with this kind of stone face, I have no idea expression. So we want to make ourselves better known. And for the people who are employees of the city, they reminded us that our Measure J calendar needs to be done probably earlier than usual because they got a lot of busy stuff. And I want to be proud of you guys, so please do that. While I'm talking about transportation, this morning I was at the Redefining Mobility extravaganza, where largely we were talking about autonomous vehicles and how they're going to be entered into our transportation, including transportation of goods and people, first and last mile. And let's see, did I get everything? No. This year for Memorial Day, we're hoping to have letters from our citizens or even friends of our citizens, anybody who has a letter or writes a letter about somebody they know that was serving our country and that is no longer with us. So ask your parents, grandparents, search your closets and see if you can find those letters so that we can live real life stories in Memorial Day. And that does it for me. And now we're on to the next item, which is a seat at the table pilot program for our youth commission-ish.
All right, good evening, Mayor Haskew and City Council. My name is Randy Azevedo, and I'm an administrative analyst in the City Manager's Office, and I'm also staff liaison to the Youth Leadership Commission. And I'm here to discuss the A Seat at the Table pilot program and the future of youth seats on the Arts, Prose, and Transportation Commissions. So first, a little bit of background. The Youth Leadership Commission was formed in 2017 with input from the Public Education Committee. Their purpose is to engage the future leaders of Walnut Creek by encouraging youth to take an active leadership role. And each year, they select a policy or service project to complete. In 2021, they identified a policy project that initially aimed to lower the voting age in Walnut Creek, but given the complexities, they pivoted to adding youth seats on city commissions, which would still add opportunities for youth input and engagement here at the city. They developed their proposal after doing research of other cities and after feedback, or they took it for feedback to each of the city's commissions as well as the Public Education Committee. After receiving that feedback, they modified their proposal and presented it to the City Council in August of 2022. This program, which was dubbed A Seat at the Table, is a one-year pilot program to add youth seats to the Arts, Prose, and Transportation Commissions for high school age students in grades 9 through 12. These commissioners serving in youth seats have a preferential vote, which was modeled after the youth seats on school boards. A preferential vote is an expression of opinion that's recorded in the minutes, but it's cast before the official vote and it does not count towards the outcome. The commissioners serving in youth seats must also meet expectations that were set for them, which are included in your packet as attachment 1. And they were recruited from the public at large rather than from Youth Leadership Commission existing members as a way of increasing opportunities for youth here at the city. And they're staff appointed as opposed to council appointed. Council did approve that A Seat at the Table pilot to begin in August of 2022, and shortly after, staff began a recruitment process that included a written application that was modeled after the applications used for adult members. We also put together a panel interview with members of the Youth Leadership Commission, as well as representatives from each of the Arts, Prose, and Transportation Commissions. And in all, we had 13 applicants, 12 of whom were invited for interviews, and one who didn't move forward in the process because they were not a Walnut Creek resident. And with the recommendation of the Youth Leadership Commission and other panel members, staff did appoint the following people, and I'll just move from left to right. On the left is Skyla Moe. She was at the time a 10th grader at Las Lomas High School and has been serving on the Arts Commission. In the center is Angie Yao. At the time, she was a 9th grader and at Northgate High School, and she's been serving on the Transportation Commission. And on the right is Carlina Meyer, who at the time was in 10th grade at Carondelet High School and has been serving on the Pros Commission. These commissioners participated in an onboarding process that was similar to the process used for adult commissioners and included a commissioner orientation with introduction to the city, information about city departments, guidance on being a commissioner from the city clerk and one of the staff liaisons to the commissions, Brown Act training from the city attorney's office, and they also participated in ethics training. So as I mentioned, this was a one-year pilot, initially set to run from September of 2022 to August of 2023. It was temporarily extended in order to maintain youth representation while allowing time for the program to be evaluated and for council to consider the future of these youth seats. And so the commissioners who were appointed have been serving from fall of 2022 to present. With the direction of the council, we staff evaluated the program based on the following criteria. Is there adequate youth interest? Did the youth members meet the expectations for attendance and participation that were set for them? And do both adult and youth members express a favorable view of the program? A survey was developed that was sent out to the folks involved with the pilot. And in all, we had 9 adult commissioners, 3 from each of the participating commissions respond to the survey, as well as the 3 staff liaisons, 8 youth leadership commissioners, and the 3 commissioners serving in youth seats. A summary of the responses as well as charts were included in your packet as attachments 2 and 3. But the key takeaways are that youth members have met the requirements set for them. Youth members have had a positive experience in the program, and a majority of those surveyed would like the program to continue. Which brings us to the things before you today, the future of the youth seat and on the city commissions. So the recommended action is to discuss and provide direction to staff on the seat at the table pilot program and the future of the youth seats on these 3 commissions, and provide direction on the options for term length, appointment to the commissions, and term dates should these youth seats be made permanent. To that end, I'm going to walk you through a few recommendations, and there's a slide for each of the choices, as well as a summary slide at the end that I can put up during your deliberation. These options were presented to the Youth Leadership Commission for permanent elements, so their input is provided here. And on April 16th, we brought them before the Public Education Committee, which Mayor Haskew and Councilmember Francois are members of that committee, for their recommendations as well. So, for the options for the future of the A Seat at the Table program, there are 3 options here before you today. We could extend the pilot, extend it 2 years and hold a new recruitment, and then evaluate the program again in 2026. Option 2 would amend the municipal code to make the seats permanent. And option 3 would end the program, which could be discontinued in June of 2024 or at a date of your choosing, and would excuse current youth members from service. Given the positive feedback in the survey, staff is recommending to make these seats permanent by amending the municipal code. And when presented to the Public Education Committee, they also expressed support for the program and appreciation for the contributions for the commissioners serving in youth seats, and supported staff's recommendation to make them permanent. Next, for appointment to the commissions, the 3 options are to have them be staff appointed with input from the Youth Leadership Commission and adult members of the 3 commissions. This was the method that was used during the pilot program and does not include any council involvement in the recruitment and appointment. Option 2 is that the commissioners be council appointed with input from the Youth Leadership Commission, who would recommend candidates for consideration, who would then be interviewed and appointed by council. Or option 3 would be council appointed using the same process as adult commissioners without Youth Leadership Commission involvement. So when staff presented this to the Youth Leadership Commission, they recommended option 1, with their thought being that it would amplify youth representation by including youth in all aspects or all parts of the recruitment process. And they also let us know that they felt that the opportunity to sit on a panel with adult members of the commissions gave them the opportunity to build relationships with adult commissioners. Staff did agree with this recommendation, and the Public Education Committee also agreed with staff appointment with involvement from the Youth Leadership Commission. So next is term dates. And there are two options here before you. One is to align with the school year, so September through August. This is aligned with the academic year, but is off cycle from the term dates used for adult commissioners. And option 2 is to align with the calendar year, so January through December. This is on cycle with the adult commissioner selection process, but off cycle with the academic year. Youth Leadership Commission did discuss this. Some commissioners felt that aligning with the calendar year would help new members appointed to these commissions feel a part of the commission, as they would all start at the same time. But ultimately, they recommended it be aligned with the school year in order to help commissioners balance their academic responsibilities and to allow juniors and seniors to have more full terms. Staff did agree with this option, and the Public Education Committee also agreed with option 1 to align with the school year. And then lastly, in terms of term length, we presented 3 different options. The first being a single 2-year term, where those commissioners would not be able to apply for a second term. Option 2 is a 2-year term, but with an option to reapply through a competitive process. So it would not be an automatic appointment, but instead a competitive process, which is the current Youth Leadership Commission practice. And option 3 is a single term with a maximum length of 4 years, depending on the commissioner's age at time of appointment. The Youth Leadership Commission recommended option 2, feeling that a 2-year term rather than a 4-year term would allow for more frequent openings on the commission, thereby increasing opportunities for youth to serve, but that having an option for a second term would allow personal growth for individuals serving as commissioners. Staff did agree with that recommendation for option 2. And when we presented it to the Public Education Committee, they were split. So one committee member agreed with the Staff and Youth Leadership Commission's recommendation, feeling that this option would allow the city to retain excellent commissioners for a second term, and based on the competitive application would still provide opportunities for new youth to be appointed. And the other committee member felt that because students have such a limited time to serve on the commission, only those 4 years, limiting to 1 2-year term would give more students the opportunity to gain experience as a commissioner. So in terms of next steps, if council provides direction to staff to make these youth seats permanent, then staff would bring forward municipal code changes for the council's consideration, introduction, and adoption at future council meetings, and would make any necessary amendments to council and commission handbooks. So again, the recommended action is to discuss and provide direction on the future of the youth seats and to provide direction on the specific program elements for those permanent seats. And with that, I will open it up for questions, and I do have that summary slide next whenever you need it.
Okay, who would like to make a question or a question? Yes, please.
This question. Thanks, Renee. That was great. I'm just curious, how was the attendance for the meetings for each of the seat at the table at the different commission meetings?
So my understanding is that they did, 2 of the commissioners did meet the 75%. One did not. It was on the Transportation Commission. However, they did alert their staff liaison ahead of time. They were not able to be there due to an emergency situation. And the Transportation Commission also meets less frequently, so there was kind of fewer opportunities. So.
Right. Yeah, you missed 1 year below 75%.
Right.
Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Please.
So looking through, thank you guys. And I remembered when I was reporting out what I did, I forgot that I came to talk to the Youth Commission, which is like my favorite thing to do all year long, and tell them what I eat for breakfast because they always want to know. Going through the charts, it looks like there was one adult member of the commission who was less than favorable about it. Do you have any insight into what was going on there?
Yeah, so we did have one member of the Pros Commission who did not support the continuation of the youth seats. But I did look at their survey response, and so they clarified that it was not about suitability, but it was about staff resources, and they felt that they would be better spent serving existing commissioners and commissions.
Okay, so it was more that it
Limited
distracts from
resources.
Okay, all right. It wasn't anything about the kids themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Rindy, very much for the report, and thank you to the youth commissioner members who have participated in getting us started in this journey and helping to contribute to the successful outcome of the pilot program, and for being here this evening. I have a couple of questions. Looking at one as to when the term would be, either school year or calendar year. So if it's the school year, you need to the recruitment process would have to occur at the end of the prior school year. Do you have a calendar that you can just outline so that we avoid summertime? Because recruitment during the summer makes it more difficult for participants. They can't change their families' summer vacation plans usually.
Yeah, so typically what we do for the Youth Leadership Commission and what we did for the youth seats last year is we open recruitment at the kind of right at the end of the school year and leave it open during the summer. And then the actual interviews and all of that take place after school is back in session, so in September, early September.
Does that make it more difficult for the timing to work for the commission meetings? It's not like the city the commissions that they're appointed to are not like the city council or the planning commission or the design review commission, which meet twice a month at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make it harder for them to actually have enough opportunities during the course of the calendar year or school year?
Well, they still do serve an entire year, I guess, but just from September through August. Maybe I'm misunderstanding your question.
I guess I'm trying to make my suggestion in the form of a question. I'd fail at Jeopardy too. What happens now if it's an appointment for 2 years? What happens if someone needs to resign midway through their term? Is there a process in place for a one-year appointment to fill the vacancy?
Yeah,
How does it work?
The public education, we also talked about this at the Public Education Committee. So we would create a vacancy list, or an eligibility list, for any vacancies that arose on the commission.
And have you had any conversation with the Youth Leadership Commission or these appointees on how to extend their education into their own schools, how to reach 30, 50, 100 students like them that might be interested in understanding civics and local government better as liaisons essentially to their peers?
Yeah, each year, so the commissioners have worked on specific projects to reach out to different schools. They're working on a transportation project right now to help share information about the city and different transportation options available. And they also do reach out to their peers, and they are tasked with being representatives of their peers, and I do believe they take that seriously.
And one last question, I think, if I can read my own handwriting. How do what process or policy is in place in terms of who's eligible to apply for these 3 seats? For example, a city council member cannot be a member of a commission, even though it might look fascinating to spend even more time at City Hall. But I noticed that are the Youth Leadership Commission members precluded from being representatives selected for these positions?
So the positions are subject to the Brown Act requirements. The Youth Leadership Commission, though, is not. So I guess technically they're not excluded.
I guess I'm talking about opportunities for participation. If you get 2 jobs, if there are 18 jobs available and someone is eligible to have 2 of them, then that means there's one person.
Yes,
that's
in practice,
potentially not-
we have said that they had to make a choice if they applied for both between the two.
Between the Youth Leadership
Commission or serving on a youth seat, that they would not do
Okay,
both.
so
Yeah.
we are not appointing youth leadership commissioners to sit in these seats at the.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else? All right, I believe it is time for public comment. Is there anybody who would like to come forward and make a comment? You are limited to 2 minutes.
Perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you all for listening to our presentation and always giving us the time to speak here. I just want to talk a little bit about what this program has meant to me. As I'm entering my 3rd and final year on the Youth Commission, I've seen this project go from just a few words on some paper to being voted on here, to even interviewing who's now on our commission. And I think it adds a lot of value, and especially as we advance our goal of creating the next leaders and just trying to make a more civically engaged youth, this has been really important in sort of extending that. And also, I love getting my monthly updates on pickleball. Not only are they very informative, but they're very entertaining to me. So thank you so much for all of your consideration.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is William Montgomery. I'm currently in my 1st year on the commission. I'm a senior at the Corey Lane School in Dublin, although I'm a Walnut Creek resident. And I just want to say, I think my service in the Youth Leadership Commission has been a great, honor that's been extended to me. And right now we're working on this project to increase the education of Walnut Creek youth about public transit. We just recently did a presentation at Walnut Creek Intermediate on that topic. And in doing that and in other endeavors, we've worked with our youth representatives on the transportation and other commissions who have also spoken to us at our Youth Leadership Commission meetings. And so I think, so I can just say personally that I think this program is a great asset to the city. I think, if we pride ourselves as being a democratic institution, democratic body, and I think it's profoundly democratic that we should have some representation for, a large swath of our population, our youth population, on these civic bodies. So I speak strongly in favor of these youth seats, and I think they should be maintained for the future and in perpetuity. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julia, and I just want to say this is my 1st year in the commission, but as I first joined because I wanted to make a beneficial impact on my youth community, I feel like this is just a really wonderful program to get our youth engaged with our local government, because I feel like I know a lot of people that aren't very connected with our community, but this provides a perfect opportunity for these people to provide their voices and advocate for others. So I just want to say that I hope to speak in regard of this program positively and provide high encouragement to continue this program and motivate connection through Walnut Creek. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Renee Joseph. I'm serving on the Youth Leadership Commission for my 1st year, and I'm speaking on the behalf of Keen Petracca, who is also on the commission. For the last 2 years, a seat at the table has allowed youth to be more involved in our government, and as well as making local government more accessible to youth. It is not only necessary to make sure that our youth has a voice in our government, but also to ensure that our youth wants to be involved in our government. It's an excellent opportunity for us to have a voice in Walnut Creek, and I sincerely hope that you continue this program.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Angie Yao. I'm a sophomore at Northgate High School, and I had the amazing opportunity of serving on the Transportation Commission. And I just want to say that thank you to the Youth Leadership Commission and the Council for giving me this amazing opportunity. And I really got to learn a lot about the city, and I really felt like I had a deeper city involvement through this program. And I do think that it is important to keep youth voices as the youth are the ones who are growing up in the city and who are going to impact the city in the future. So it's really important for them to be more involved in the processes. And I really enjoyed learning about a lot of the different programs, such as like the local roadway safety plan. And it's really been like fascinating for me too, as like I've just gotten my driver's permit, so I've just been like driving around. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, there's like the sign that I kind of heard about in this commission, and I just really feel like I've been super involved and more connected to the city through this program, and I really do hope that it continues. So thank you so much.
Hey, Angie, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service on the Transportation Commission. If you were given the opportunity to apply for a second term, would you apply for one?
Yes, definitely. I really enjoyed my time, so I would definitely want to apply for a second term.
And can you elaborate a little bit on what a second term would mean in terms of your growth and experience and education about transportation issues in the city?
Yeah, so I think for like the past 2 years, I kind of came into the commission. I knew about transportation, but definitely like not at the point that I am right now. I've definitely learned more about different policies, like I've mentioned, like local roadway and safety, and also like the safe routes to school. All those which really apply to me, and I do believe that if I were to like continue, I could definitely. I definitely like to learn more about the progress, because a lot of these things are still in progress. They haven't been completed, and I definitely want to learn be more involved as part of the youth, and I want to see the continuation of these projects and see the outcomes. So I think that would be really beneficial to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Everybody, my name is Brendan Moran. I am the vice chair of the Pros Commission, and I've been on the commission for more years than I can actually name right now. When I go home, I'll do the math. So I thought I'd just give you my thoughts on my take on the Youth Commission, because I've had experience on the commission without our youth commissioners and with. And the experience that I've had, I'll be completely honest, when it started, I thought, I don't know how this is going to all pan out. And I have been, in the past 2 years, extremely impressed with my experience with Commissioner Meyer, who's not here. Shout out, Carlina. They've been prepared, knowledgeable, confident. Councilmember Wilk, she was probably here more than I was. And so I support the Youth Commission continuing. And just also as a kind of a 30,000-foot view, we need to build the bench civically, because there's a lot of people that show up to city council meetings when things get a little hairy, right? And we get a lot of support. But we need people that are going to be here when it's boring and they want to have a seat at the table and be involved civically. And this is a great example of that, and I think we should support it. The last thing I'll say is, I was this young adult when I was in high school, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably were too. And I had to resign myself as president of the student body with what color confetti we were going to have at the senior prom, while these guys get to voice their opinions on multi-million-dollar projects. And I think that's really, really special, and we should continue it, and so I support it. Thank you very much.
Boring?
Not you.
Explain.
Not you.
Is there any more public comment? I see none, so let's bring it back to council. Do we have any more questions and/or comments? Who would like to go first? Yes.
I'm in comment mode. I just want to say I am so glad this has worked out. I know when I was on the education committee and it first came forward to it, I thought, well, but I was really eager to see how it would work, and I'm really happy that it's worked out. I think I am ready to support the recommendations from the Youth Leadership Commission on this one, and keep a seat at the table for you guys. I think you've really done a great job.
No, I mean, this is terrific. And when we voted to approve a pilot program, this was exactly the outcome that we were hoping for. And the fact that yes, there is an option there of just ending it, but it sounds like we're all very positive about this. So it's more about, this is great, how are we going to enhance this, and what kind of changes and modifications do we make to it? So I'm really thrilled. I knew it was going to be positive and that people were going to enjoy it and get a lot out of it as well. So I'm so glad that that's the case.
Matt?
Yeah, I too am thrilled with the progress. I commend the Youth Leadership Commission for the diligence that it took, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. All the research, all the homework that you did that went into this when it was presented by your predecessors, and now you are the beneficiaries of it, as all of us are. So I do support the recommendations of the Youth Leadership Commission and staff. I opted for the 2-year term with an option to reapply, and I still believe in that. I think it's consistent with what we do with our Youth Leadership Commissioner. It's not an automatic. They have to kind of show up and participate and do a good job, and I think that's been the case with all our current commissioners. And I think listening to Commissioner Yao too, and her explanation of that, a lot of these issues are still in progress, which I fully we deal with a lot of those boring issues that are still in progress, and it takes a while to work through them and to kind of to reach the other side. And so it'd be nice to kind of see the completion of something that doesn't necessarily get done in a 2-year term. So I am supportive of the youth leadership and staff recommendation. And I appreciated Councilmember Silva's question about how do we expand the outreach, and I think one of the youth commissioners spoke about a presentation they gave to WCI, and if there were more opportunities for the Youth Leadership Commission to do things like that, and each of our youth representatives, I think that would be a really good thing.
I'm sorry, Mayor, if I may. I didn't actually talk about the different recommendations here, and I think for the most part I am aligned with what staff and the Public Education Committee came down with. I think aligned with the school year makes perfect sense. Staff appointing with the Youth Commission involved in the interview process, again, perfect sense. I'm on the fence with the term length, and it's not because I don't think there's more value out of 4 years than 2, and there is, and it's encouraging to hear that, yes, of course I'd reapply for 2. But the counter of that is, if this is an opportunity for youth to have this chance to have a seat at the table of commissions, and we only have 3 commissions, then that theoretically means that over the course of 4 years, there'll be 3 students in Walnut Creek, and only 3 students that have that opportunity. Yes, there are reappointments to the Youth Commission, but there are, 14, 15 students to that? And they're constantly rotating off because they're graduating. So there are more opportunities there. And I just feel that while that's fantastic that they would want to be able to reapply, are we missing an opportunity to double the amount of students that can experience that kind of opportunity?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your presentations and your thoughtful remarks. I think what this program proves over the last 2 years, that good work yields good results, and that evaluation is the way to get to enhancement. I agree with the recommendations that have come forward, but I err on the how many terms you can have to the 1 term for exactly the reason that Councilmember Wilk said this. It's because it is an opportunity to double the impact, to double the number of students who can participate. It does not mean, however, that the Commissioner Yao, that you wouldn't be able to come back and participate from the seat you're sitting in now. You wouldn't be able to sit up here, but you could follow a project as long as you wanted to, and that's what the value to the public is. But I think we have to weigh the benefit of the greater number of people that can participate, because it's a limited number of seats that are available.
Yeah, I just wanted to make clear. So when I said I'm in favor of the Youth Leadership Commission, I think I am willing to defer to them on the issue of whether or not, how you get the greater benefit, whether or not you allow 1 youth commissioner the opportunity to come back and give more, or if you give the opportunity to 2 separate commissioners. So I am in favor of the 2-year term with the option to reapply for the 2nd term. There's a trade-off there, and I'm willing to defer to the Youth Leadership Commission, who understand, thought about this deeply. So,
Well, if anybody did the math, they know I'm the one that didn't vote. So, yeah. And we spent a fair amount of time talking about it. And I still think that part of this is to give as many youth as possible the chance to have the opportunity to participate. And as Councilmember Silva said, you ain't getting off the hook just because you're not sitting on this side of the thing. You can continue to follow up, and I think we still have an obligation to make it as available to as many students as possible. So I like the 2-year term. If, I could get really nasty and say, now 1-year term, and then we need 4 people instead of 1. I like the 2-year term, but I think just having somebody who starts in their freshman year technically is the only person that can have 4 years. If you start in your junior year, you can only have 2 years anyhow. So we're not really cheating that many people out of an opportunity. So I'm with the 2 years, but 1 time, no re-up. Everything else is wonderful. Thank you all. And yes, you all have, all the youth commissioners and all the people who were on the commissions as well did a great job and made us very proud of you.
So can I have a point of clarification of staff?
Sure, of course.
If the votes go the way I think they may, would our current representatives on the commission who would have served their 2 years essentially, would they be eligible to apply to be on the Youth Leadership Commission?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And before we vote, I just point out that 2 of the 3 would really only have 1 more year left to serve in this particular instance. And of course, we could always expand the program to the DRC and the Planning Commission and give additional opportunities for members of our youth community to serve.
I have an actual technical question. So if you only have, if someone's interested in applying, but they only have 1 year available on they're going to be a senior, they only get 1 year.
Yes, they would be able to apply, but it would only be for 1 year.
And so when you apply, do you have to make, to the best of your ability, the 2-year commitment? You can't apply knowing you can't serve for the 2 years?
We have not made that requirement. We've allowed people who are going to be seniors apply to have that opportunity.
Right. So I'm willing to make a motion, but I'll cut this and I'll do this.
Fine with me.
I make a motion that we make the youth seats on the Arts, Transportation, and Prose Commissions permanent and amend the municipal code to make those seats permanent. That we make these 2-year terms, but I'm not going to make a motion that includes the option to reapply. They are staff appointed with the involvement of the Youth Leadership Commission in the interview process and recommendation, and that the term dates are aligned with the school year so that recruitment occurs in the later portion of the previous school year so that they're ready to go.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, may I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilk.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Darling.
Aye.
Mayor Haskew.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
So I will make the motion that that we limit the seat at the table program to 1 2-year term in order to ensure that more of our youth in the community are able to participate in the program.
And I will second that. May I have
A point of clarification, didn't we just take, what's the difference between the first motion and this motion?
Only one. They're 2-year terms, but only eligible for 1.
I see. Okay.
Sorry, if that wasn't clear, I won't remake the motion, but fix it on the minutes.
Anybody have an opinion about whether, I thought it was a separate one, yes, all right. May I have a roll call vote, because I think I have I know I was a second, so may I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Mayor Haskew.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilk.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Darling.
No.
Motion carries 4-1.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate all the work you've done, and it's great to see you, and enjoy your next year. And for those of graduating, have fun in college, okay? Thank you. We're on to our next item, and I I want to take a moment to explain the process for public hearing, item number 6A. In order for the city to levy assessments to the Downtown Walnut Creek Business Improvement District and the Downtown Walnut Creek South Business Improvement District, the city council must first conduct a public hearing which must hear and consider all protests against the levy of the assessments. If written protests are received from owners of businesses in the proposed area which will pay 50 cents or more of the assessment proposed to be levied, no further proceedings to levy the assessment shall be taken for a period of 1 year from the date of the finding of the majority protest by the city council. If there is no majority protest, then the council may adopt the resolutions confirming the assessment report submitted. Written protests must be received by the city clerk at or before the time fixed for the public hearing, which, is that today or next week? Next time. It's today. At this time, we now open the public hearing for item number 6A for Downtown Walnut Creek Business Improvement District bid and the Downtown Walnut Creek South Business Improvement bid, S-bid. I invite anybody with an undelivered written protest to present it to the city clerk immediately. No further protests will be accepted, and while we're waiting for any protests, may we have a presentation?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Angela Sway, Economic Development Manager. As Mayor Haskew explained, this is the annual renewal of the downtown bid and S-bid. The annual bid and S-bid assessment renewal is a two-step process. The first meeting was held on April 16th, at which time WCD presented its annual reports and proposed budget for fiscal year 2025. Tonight is the second meeting and serves as the public hearing. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I have representatives from WCD here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are the nobody's handed anything in, correct? Then we can move on. Is there any comment or questions from the council? Is there any public comment? Then we move on to the next step I need help here. Oh, is it in front of me?
Okay. Let me try this. I move to adopt the resolution confirming the Downtown Walnut Creek Business Improvement District bid annual assessment report for FY 23-25 and levying annual assessment for FY 24-25 and adopt the resolution confirming the Downtown Walnut Creek South bid annual assessment report for FY 2023-2025 and levying the annual assessment for fiscal year 2024 and 2025.
Second.
Okay. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Darling.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilk.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Mayor Haskew.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations. We're going to have a 5-minute break now. We'll see you again at 8:15. Before we start this next item, I've got to ask the council if there were any parte contacts. Anybody have a conversation with these people? Starting with Cindy Darling.
Well, I was on the ex parte or the subcommittee, so I had many conversations with these people.
Got it. Cindy Silva.
Ditto.
Okay.
I have met them.
Oh, good. Did you?
I'm not on the
talk-
committee, but
Okay.
we briefly discussed some of the
And
projects.
did you talk about a potential item?
We talked about the item that is up for consideration.
Thank you. And Matt?
I too met with the applicant's representatives and had general discussions about the project and the progress.
I did too. So we've all met all the appropriate people. And now, would you please take over?
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Darren Neufeld. I will present on the proposed mixed-use special district. The applicant, Toyota Walnut Creek, is seeking to create a new mixed-use special district overlay, shown here in gold, to the current auto sales, service, and custom manufacturing, or ASCM, district in the North Downtown Specific Plan area. In addition to the automobile uses currently allowed at the sites, which are within 1/2 mile of the Walnut Creek BART station, the new mixed-use special district would allow for potential mixed uses, including office, multifamily residential, hotel, and/or other compatible non-residential uses. The applicant would be required to enhance operations of its current auto sales, service, and ancillary uses through construction of a new auto sales and service facility located within the mixed-use special district area. To do so, the applicant is seeking amendments to the Walnut Creek General Plan, North Downtown Specific Plan, Municipal Code, and approval of a development agreement. This proposal seeks to advance the vision for the North Downtown and facilitate the enhancement and long-term viability of the Toyota Walnut Creek dealership by allowing for redevelopment of land within the mixed-use special district with other potential new uses. The new mixed-use special district overlay would set forth permitted uses as well as the specific development standards and design guidelines that would govern future development of projects within the district. There is no specific development proposal at this time. In exchange for legislative changes and approval of a development agreement, the applicant or future developers would be required to provide benefits to ensure development certainty. These include a full-service auto dealership, multi-use pathways, and affordable housing above inclusionary housing ordinance requirements for a total of 12% affordable housing. The City Council is being asked to consider and certify the Supplemental Environmental Impact Report, or SEIR, and to approve the requested mixed-use special district, amendments to the general plan, North Downtown Specific Plan, zoning, and a development agreement. On October 15th, 2019, City Council adopted the North Downtown Specific Plan to guide the development of a vibrant mixed-use district with residential, commercial office, retail, restaurant, civic, hospitality, arts, auto sales and service, and entertainment uses. On February 16th, 2021, City Council considered a request by applicant Toyota Walnut Creek to proceed with an application for a potential general plan amendment that would authorize multifamily residential, hotel, office, and/or other compatible non-residential uses in the ASCM General Plan land use designation as part of the mixed-use special district overlay. On May 18th, 2021, a joint public meeting with the City Council, Planning Commission, Design Review Commission, and Transportation Commission was held to introduce the proposed legislative amendments and commence conversations between the city's advisory and decision-making bodies and the applicant, with the intent of refining the focus and direction of the proposed general plan, North Downtown Specific Plan, and zoning changes. No formal action was taken. Public review of the supplemental EIR was conducted in summer of 2023, and 2 public comments were received during the required 45-day public review period. Throughout the process, the ad hoc committee met to discuss the project. At its April 11th, 2024 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended to Council to certify the supplemental EIR and adopt CEQA findings, adopt the general plan, specific plan, and zoning amendments, and approve the development agreement. The North Downtown Specific Plan envisions the area's evolution into one with vibrant mixed uses with integrated residential, commercial office, retail, restaurant, civic, hospitality, arts and entertainment uses, while continuing to be an important job center and location for automobile sales and service. Among the goals of the North Downtown Specific Plan is to harness and direct market demand for more urbanized development near the Walnut Creek BART station, while also preserving and enhancing the strong sales tax base in the area, especially the auto sales and service uses, which are concentrated within the plan area. Additionally, the North Downtown Specific Plan seeks to protect and enhance the existing jobs and auto sales and service industry in the plan area, including promoting new urban showroom designs for auto dealerships looking to redevelop their properties. By way of background, the North Downtown Specific Plan currently has 2 special districts, an Arts District, shown here in red, and Makers Row, shown in blue, which are intended to create opportunities for handcrafted manufacturing, including brewing, ceramics, jewelry making, and shared technology and tool space. The proposed mixed-use special district overlay would become the 3rd special district in the plan area, which is indicated here in purple. The proposed mixed-use special district is 6.2 acres located on sites A, B, and C, approximately 1/2 mile from the Walnut Creek BART station. It is generally bounded by North Main Street to the west, Pine Street to the north, Civic Drive to the east, and Ignacio Valley Road to the south. It consists of a total of 10 parcels referred to as 2100 North Main, which is Site A, 2150 North Broadway, Site B, and 2100 North Broadway, Site C, and is located entirely within the boundaries of the North Downtown Specific Plan. The applicant also leases land at Site D, where they operate the current dealership, and Site E at 1435 Pine Street, within the boundaries of the North Downtown Specific Plan area that is near but outside of the proposed mixed-use special district on sites A, B, and C. The mixed-use special district is intended to provide opportunities to maintain and enhance auto sales, service, and related ancillary uses in a transit-rich urban environment by creating opportunities for more intense mixed-use development. The project site location in proximity to BART is ideally suited for the development of a larger mix of uses. This would enable redevelopment by facilitating the future development of a more intense multifamily residential, hotel, and/or other compatible non-residential uses at the project site. The amendment to the North Downtown Specific Plan area would include additional Florida area, or FAR. However, for 100% residential buildings in the mixed-use special district, FAR does not apply. Rather, buildings would be subject to a maximum density of 107 dwelling units per acre. Under any development scenario, the maximum total residential units analyzed for the mixed-use special district would be 658, using the base density. By way of background, the city's base inclusionary housing ordinance requires either 10% low-income or 6% very low-income housing units to be built along with market rate units. The development agreement requires 12% of the units need to be affordable to low and very low-income households, which provides a blended percentage in which 9.6% of the units being affordable to low-income households and 2.4% of the units being affordable to very low-income households. If affordable units are constructed with market rate units as an integrated development, the unit mix, that is the number of bedrooms per unit, of the affordable unit shall be the same proportion as the unit mix for the market rate units. If only standalone affordable units are proposed, that is, market rate units will not be integrated with standalone units, then there is no unit mix requirement. Under no circumstances, however, shall the standalone affordable units be single-room occupancy units. The standalone affordable unit must be comprised of a mix of studios, one-bedroom, and two-bedroom units. The mix will be no more than 50% for studios, at least 10% one-bedroom, and at least 10% two-bedroom units. Each unit must be at least 350 square feet. The development agreement also requires an affordable housing payment. That can be offset if more than 12% affordable units are being constructed. The project would exceed the current inclusionary housing requirements. In accordance with the city's inclusionary housing ordinance, any voluntary affordable units, that is excess units above the 12% required, constructed as part of the project, are subject to the inclusionary zoning credit transfer provisions for purposes of other housing developments constructed within the city. State density bonus, if pursued in the future for the mixed-use special district, could allow additional units as well as allow heights greater than the maximum allowed by Measure A, which limits heights within the city. The proposed 12% affordable units can be used to create additional density and other reduction of standards. However, through the development agreement and recognizing the importance of Measure A, the applicant has agreed to limit maximum building height, if density bonus is utilized, to 89 feet. The graphic on the right shows the maximum 89-foot height with the green bar. For comparison, this is below the height of California Plaza, which is 158 feet, and what could be achieved in theory utilizing the density bonus for this project, which is 18 stories. Without limiting the number of incentives or concessions as authorized under state density bonus law, for an application for a subsequent approval within the mixed-use special district, the city would grant an additional 2 incentives and/or concessions to be applied at the developer's election within the mixed-use special district. Incentives and/or concessions include things like increased density, a reduction in site development standards, such as a reduction in setback or minimum square footage, or other regulatory incentives or concessions, for example, special parking requirements. The North Downtown Specific Plan includes a proposed east-west multimodal path along several of the parcels in the proposed district, as noted on the right. The development agreement provides for dedication of a public trail easement located along the southern edge of Site A. When a development project comes forward, the pathway would be constructed by the developer. The easement area must be 16 feet in width for at least 80% of the length and evenly divided between hardscape pathway and landscape areas. The pathway cannot be less than 8 feet wide. If the developer acquires ownership of Site D or has entered into a purchase agreement to acquire all of Site D, then a public trail easement 8 feet wide will be dedicated for future improved pathway along the southern edge of Site C. If the developer does not convey the Site C pathway easement, then the developer of the auto dealership shall pay the city $500,000. The city may use the money at its discretion towards the cost of providing a pedestrian connection between the Iron Horse Trail, shown here in the solid green line on the right, and the North Downtown Specific Plan area. The development agreement has an initial period of 10 years with the ability to extend for another 5 years. A full-service dealership needs to be developed with a minimum building area of 45,000 square feet for auto sales, services, and ancillary uses. The dealership must be located on sites A or B, or can be constructed in part on Site D if it can be acquired. As mentioned previously, a pathway would be dedicated and constructed at the southern end of Site A, and a pathway easement would be dedicated on Site C if Site D is acquired for auto uses. If a multifamily housing development is proposed to be built, 12% affordable housing would be constructed, which is above the city's inclusionary housing ordinance. The developer will also pay the city $450,000 to be used by the city for affordable housing programs. Environmental impacts associated with the development of the North Downtown Specific Plan were previously evaluated in the North Downtown Specific Plan EIR, which was adopted by the City Council in October of 2019. The EIR analyzed the impacts of the specific plan, which resulted in impacts to air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, hazards and hazardous materials, and traffic. Of these, traffic impacts were significant and unavoidable, primarily based on level of service and impacts to Caltrans freeway segments. The rest of the impacts were mitigated to less than significant. The supplemental EIR for the mixed-use special district was prepared to analyze the changes to the North Downtown Specific Plan EIR associated with the redevelopment of sites A through E by the applicant. Although no specific development proposal is being made, the proposed district would allow for additional and more intensely developed uses and redevelopment of sites within the district. The mixed-use special district and redevelopment of sites D and E would not result in any new or more significant impacts than were already analyzed in the North Downtown Specific Plan EIR. There is no specific project proposed at this time. Because there is not a specific development proposal, various scenarios were developed in order to study a reasonable possibility of future development and to study the environmental impacts of the proposal. In each of the 3 scenarios detailed on the following slides, a full-service dealership would be developed along with other possible uses. Any future development must fit within the envelope of what was studied in this SEIR and comply with the maximum number of use types indicated in the scenarios below. These 3 scenarios do not represent or limit how actual subsequent developments can take place. Rather, they were developed based on a reasonable and most comprehensive scenario of what might occur in the future within the mixed-use special district. All scenarios include auto sales and service of 142,094 square feet and 40,564 square feet of office. Scenario 1 has an office emphasis with roughly 473,000 square feet of additional office that could be developed, resulting in a total of approximately 514,000 square feet of office space. Scenario 2 includes a mix of multifamily residential and hotel uses with 132 multifamily dwelling units and 723 hotel rooms. Scenario 3 emphasizes multifamily residential with a total studied of 658 multifamily residential units. Scenario 3 reflects the most impactful scenario for almost all environmental topic areas under CEQA. Where scenarios 1 and 2 represent the most impacts on a particular issue area, those were evaluated in the SEIR. The use of these scenarios ensures that the SEIR provides a conservative analysis and enough information so that decision makers and the public understand potential environmental impacts and consequences of the proposed project. Where impacts from the project were potentially significant, the SEIR identifies mitigation measures to reduce those impacts to less than significant. All of the impacts from this project can be mitigated to less than significant. There are no statement of overriding considerations for this project. The issue areas on this slide are those with potentially significant impacts that can be mitigated below significant. All other issue areas were either less than significant or were not impacted by the project. The SEIR was circulated on June 30th, 2023, and the city received 2 comments before the end of the 45-day public review period. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife recommended modifying the project's mitigation measures to roosting bats. The city was amenable and made a minor modification to this mitigation measure. If bats are excluded from structures during construction, bat houses shall be installed adjacent or as close as possible to the structures to provide roosting habitat. And the East Bay Municipal Utility District noted that the project requires a water supply assessment and commented on the SEIR's notice of preparation. The water supply assessment was completed and returned to the city in February of 2023. The project would be subject to applicable regulations of the East Bay Municipal Utility District. Staff is here today before City Council seeking several actions. Specifically, staff recommends that Council adopt a resolution certifying the supplemental environmental impact report, including adoption of relevant findings and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, adopt a resolution approving amendments to the general plan and North Downtown specific plan to provide for the new mixed-use special district, introduce and waive reading of an ordinance amending Title 10, Planning and Zoning, of the Walnut Creek Municipal Code and the zoning map for the creation of the mixed-use special district overlay, inclusive of amendments to the zoning map, and introduce and waive reading of an ordinance making findings and approving a development agreement between the city and Toyota Walnut Creek Property Holdings, LLC. This concludes staff's presentation, and we are available for questions.
Do I see a hand? Yes, I do. Councilmember Francois.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Darren. Great staff report. Very comprehensive with a lot of attachments and also nice PowerPoint. In terms of the dealership, I know that's one of the key development agreement terms is a commitment to a full-service auto dealership. I think you touched on it, where the potential location would be on one of several parcels. Is it?
Yeah, for the development agreement, sites A, B, and C. There are others. Claire, I don't know if you want to clarify. I know that there are some other requirements in there that what can be built on sites D as well.
It's most likely to be on A. It could be on C. On Site D, which Toyota Walnut Creek leases right now but doesn't own, if they actually obtain ownership interest in Site D, then it could go on Site D as well.
Okay, so A, C, or D, if they acquire D.
If they acquire D, that's correct.
And then in terms of the
Can I
size.
get clarification there? Couldn't it be also, it could be on Site B as well? It has to be in the North Downtown specific plan area on property they own and control.
It could be, but it would likely require them to have acquired D for that to happen because B may not be big enough for it.
We'll let them figure that out.
And then in terms of the current size, is it, I know that I saw the reference to 142,094 is what's committed to in the agreement. Is that comparable to what's there now or bigger?
Now, the current uses on site D and E are 24,001 square feet.
Okay.
The proposed site, the proposed dealership is 45,000 square feet.
Okay, so
And that's based on, and the applicant can speak to this, but that's based on current kind of market comparables for urban dealerships.
Okay, I'll ask the applicant about that one. There was a reference in the staff report to the commercial linkage fee, and I looked at the ordinance, and I think I've figured out what's happening there, which is a commitment to, just so looking for confirmation that's a commitment to pay a certain amount for a commercial linkage fee that would, and it would be the fee in effect for a period of 5 years. And if the project is a mixed-use project, which under our code would be treated as residential and and have to comply with the affordable housing requirements for residential, then it wouldn't pay the commercial linkage fee?
Well, let me take a look. I want to look at one thing because the wording in the development agreement is that they pay the commercial linkage fee for the non-residential uses at 125%. But if they're meeting their affordable housing requirement, they're essentially offsetting that obligation that is the intent of the commercial linkage.
I guess the thing that held me up in the staff report was it said they'd had 5 years to apply for an exemption, and I didn't understand what that referred to, and I think it refers to if that building were to be mixed use. Is that right?
Let me take a look at that.
Okay. And then, let's see, I think the only other one I have for now is on the height limit. I didn't see a reference in the staff report, but the agreement would be if they went a density bonus route, it would be a higher height limit than is allowed by Measure A, but that they would be entitled to under the density bonus law, capped at 89 feet.
Correct.
And what is the height limit now on those parcels?
For sites A, B, C, D, the northern portion of Site A is 35 feet. Sites B and C is 35 feet. The southernmost and the majority of Site A is 50 feet.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those were my questions for now.
Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you very much for the report. Just to affirm, I was on the ad hoc committee, but there were so many meetings that some days you just, the legislative amendments that we're going to make in terms of the zoning, the general plan amendment, and the specific plan amendments to basically create the mixed-use special district overlay really apply only to those parcels A, B, and C.
Correct.
But the environmental reviewed the other two parcels included into it, including the development capacity of the sites D and E as well.
Yes, sites D and E were included in the analysis, assuming everything on sites D and E would be demolished and potentially rebuilt with no net new.
With no access to the development intensity that was afforded through the mixed-use special district.
Correct.
Because that would have to be done legislatively separately.
Yeah, sites D and E will retain the ASCM land uses and whatever's allowed under those land uses.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question on, and thank you very much for the report. So would this go towards our RENA numbers? Is this part of that?
Yeah, so yes, it will count towards our RENA obligation. No, it was not included as a site in the housing element. So these are additional units that will count towards our RENA obligations. Yes.
Okay, great. For right now, that's what I have. Thanks.
And I have swum in so many details surrounding this project, and I think that was an excellent summary, and I am happy. No questions.
Thank you. I don't have a question either, so we're moving on now to, I believe, the applicant.
Good evening, Mayor Haskew, council members. My name is David Bowlby, and I'm speaking as one of the speakers on behalf of Toyota. And I'll have to just pause for one moment and say a tremendous thank you to the staff and all the time and effort that has been put into this. And I noticed the timeline. It's actually been a little over 3.5 years that we've been working on this, and I really want to acknowledge the effort and time that staff has put in, and in particular, the last part of this, Erica and her staff, it's just been phenomenal, the work that they have done. I also want to thank the two ad hoc committee members too, Councilmember Silva and Councilmember Darling too, for their efforts and time that they put in above and beyond. So thank you very much. And I also tonight want to introduce Nick Price, who is with us, and he's the CEO of the Price Family Dealerships and Organizations, and they're an owner of Toyota Walnut Creek, and he's also the managing a manager on the board of directors, which is basically a term that they use, but he is a director of the board of directors. And he's here with us tonight, and they have made a tremendous investment in our community. And we also have Stephen Scanlon, who will be presenting with me this evening to talk further a little bit more about Toyota. I want to also pause for a moment, and I normally don't do this at all. I am a consultant, but this is a very unique process, so therefore it's a unique presentation, and I want to acknowledge and thank the city for the opportunity to sort of step outside of the box and see how we could be creative in a way to retain a very long-standing commitment. Now I'm stuck because I'm waiting for this presentation. Is that ours? Yes. Sorry, I'm going to pause it here. I think that's... Anyways, I'm going to let you guys get our presentation up as I continue speaking. There's a long-standing commitment of Toyota here, and I, too, felt compelled to want to speak because I think this was unique in my commitment to this community. And this is something that we can all be very proud of. Are we ready?
I'm sorry, we don't have the PowerPoint presentation.
Oh.
Can we stop the timer? And
so, like I said, this is going to be a very unique process. We don't normally do this.
We can take care of that.
Yeah. Now, hopefully it's not my responsibility to entertain at this point. I don't well, I could talk, but we'll wait. No, if worse comes to worse, we can move on because I don't want to hold the meeting up either.
this is rare.
Oh, it is. Like I said, Madam Mayor, everything has been. It has been a very, like I said, a very unique process, and it's. Normally, you have a project, we come forward and we move it ahead. So, what we can do is I really don't want to delay. I mean, it actually it's a really good presentation and it's kind of cool, but I also don't, No, yeah, I am. What we could do? We could run the Planning Commission one. Can we just pull that up? And no, I really, honestly, yeah, we can just do. Should we just do it? No, from Planning Commission. Yes. I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. Again, I'm trying to entertain folks. What does one do? And the camera's rolling. Oh my gosh. That's ours. Well, we had two. We've given you guys both a PDF and the actual PowerPoint. And you need the passcode to get into it. Yeah, I only have the PDF. And you can't get it. You can't do that. PDF's fine. Yeah, PDF should work. Yeah. There we go. There we go. No, don't go there yet. All right, let's get back on track. Now I compose myself. Yes, there will. Can we get rid of the extemporaneous stuff? Make it just a full screen on it. I mean, if not, that's fine. We can. There we go. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So what I wanted to do is just do a quick brief history of the dealership itself. And I thought it was kind of fun to pull up in 1939, and the outline there is the dealership. And that's what this site looked like, what we were talking about this evening, that Toyota owns. And then you can see our community has definitely changed. Fast forward to when the dealership was built, and again, we've got the outline there of where the current dealership is. And what's really interesting during this time, because the dealership, that's when it basically opened, but it was being built and what have you. So on May 21st, 1973, BART opened up. And we have our dealership. And you can see there we have the courthouse. We all can recognize it, where the post office is, and the small industrial condos that are adjacent to the southern end of the larger parcel there, that they were still there. And 680 was opened up in the late 1950s. And March of 1960, southbound South Main was opened up on 680. Let's look at present day. And what you can see here is vastly changed. We've become more urban, yet we are still a suburban community with the various other aspects of us. But you can see how we've developed into a more urban area. And yes, we still have the courthouse there. We still have the post office. But you can see the Brio, which is over there in the corner. I think some of you were on the council when that project went through. We have Cal Plaza, the Residence Inn, the Transit Village, and we've got Civic Park, which is just right across the way too. So you can see we've definitely in 50 years from when the dealership was there, we have much grown. What I want to do really quick is I'm going to give you a quick peek into the impact that Toyota has had on our community. And we normally don't get to see this. This is information that, it is quote unquote public, but we thought it was very important to give the community and to give the council the impact. And you can see these are average annual approximate numbers, but the sales revenue, $175 million per year in sales revenue. Sales tax revenue is $13 million. And through all of that, we pay our local suppliers for various aspects of the dealership, $6.6 million. And then you can see down the list, the commitment, the sponsorships, the philanthropy. This is a significant business to our community, and they're important to us. And I think the next slide really also shows the importance from a labor standpoint. And you see our payroll and benefits annually approximately that Toyota has, coupled with our training budget, and then the number of employees that we have. And the hope is to, being here tonight, to be able to, in the future, if we're very successful here, to increase all of those numbers. And I think it's really a good segue at this point for me to have Stephen Scanlon come up on behalf of Toyota and talk a little bit more about, why we're here and the unique aspects of this. So I'm going to turn this over to Stephen, and he has the luxury of it all being ready to go, so he doesn't have to entertain other than just say stuff.
Okay, thank you, David. So I'm here to give you the background of why we're here. Toyota North America needed to find a marriage partner in 2017 to take over the existing dealership. Otherwise, the franchise was going away. The current owners, we call them the board, because of the relationship with Toyota brought them in. Part of that marriage required some kind of a creative solution. The dealership is on very expensive land. Dealerships today are very expensive to build, and typically, they're going out on suburban edges, even in rural areas. Urban dealerships are even exponentially more expensive. So by bringing the current owners in, we had to come up with Toyota and the owners had to come up with a creative solution to retain the dealership in Walnut Creek. There are not other sites to go to. Walnut Creek is relatively heavily developed, and appropriate dealership sites don't exist. We did explore the market. So that put us back into the current dealership sites with a notion of a creative solution. And the creative solution became zoning, monetizing the land and using that to create proceeds to pay for a new dealership. Also taking into account the location, we think and firmly believe that it's a unique location next to a BART station where intensity and further development is appropriate. It alleviates other parts of the city from the burden of the additional traffic and other things that are more appropriate next to a TOD. And we feel like the proposal that we have before you responds to that. It's a creative solution. We worked very successfully, we believe, with staff in formulating a proposal, a rezone, and a land use that is appropriate for the area. One of the things that was interesting, and I think David mentioned it, 3.5 years. So if you wind the clock back 3.5 years, February 19th, 2020, 3.5 weeks before the pandemic hit. So part of what we also had to do was come up with a development proposal and a rezoning that took into account we didn't know what the world was going to look like in post-pandemic America. Would a dealership go? What was the nature of the dealership? How is dealership development being affected in the post-pandemic world? That brought us to a two-stage solution. Stage 1, land use rezoning. Stage 2, a dealership proposal with whatever the zoning looked like at the time and where the market reality is in today, 2024. So it was not a typical process. We didn't have a project to bring in and ask the city, hey, can we build this? That meant that in addition to the land uses and being flexible, we also had to come up with and develop everything from guidelines, developmental guidelines, zoning guidelines, all of the different things that a future project in stage 2, that could be hospitality, could be residential, could be commercial, all of those would respond both within the North Downtown specific plan, but also the mixed use district. So a little bit we were shooting over the horizon. And what we think we've done is actually deliver that. We have a project that has that sense of future looking, but responds to where we think the North Downtown plan wants to go and needs to be. And Erica and her staff were just great to work with in getting through the nitty-gritty details of setbacks, courtyards, some of the more intricate pieces of planning for three different land uses that we're not really sure which one ultimately will be the successful one. We also saw the opportunity initially to implement some of the key goals in the North Downtown plan, which one was retention of the dealership. Second was we're in a BART TOD environment, and building, intensifying development proximate to that made all the sense in the world and as part of the specific plan. And then finally, the mid-block path. So we're here. I actually started on this project on March 10th, 2018, believe it or not. But we've been here working through this for about 3.5 years intently. And we think that this project meets all the goals of the North Downtown plan and the express community benefits that the city has asked for. So we're happy with where we're at, and we're looking forward to stage 2, hopefully very soon. Thank you.
You have a little more time in your presentation. Does anybody else want to stick up, or are we're gonna say you're done?
I think that staff has done a phenomenal job of presenting the project, and our goal tonight really was to just summarize why our purpose here was tonight. It was in order to retain and remain here in Walnut Creek while offering the opportunities and community benefits to see goals achieved so that we can derive the revenue from the sale of the land in order to stay here. So with that, we are here to answer any questions you may have. And I know it seems short given the amount of time we spent, but I think the staff has done a phenomenal job of presenting. So thank you.
Thank you very much for those words. Are there questions? Matt.
So I had just one, just to confirm the square footages on the dealership. because I think I saw something in the slide. It's basically a one-to-one replacement, is that right? About 45,000 square feet?
So the current footprint of the dealership today is 90,000 square feet plus or minus.
Okay.
That the 142 number that you saw in the report, that's what we studied to expand the impact, so that whatever we came forward.
Stand in front of me.
Oh, sorry. Whatever we brought forward, there was enough studied so that we had some expansion capability. The commitment to the integrated dealership is 45,000. That's based on an urban Toyota program, and it comes directly from the manufacturer.
And it would have all the full components that are in the dealership now?
Yep. The ancillary uses could be located remotely, or if we expanded beyond, hypothetically, we allowed for 50 service bays and we needed 65, we could expand the other 15 to a separate location within the mixed-use special district.
Okay, and that's been studied in the IR. That makes sense.
Totally studied. Yep.
Thank you.
Kevin, please.
Point of clarification, if I may. Sorry, council member. I just thought of it. We're looking at the totality of the mixed-use district. It's A, B, and C, and then D and E are ancillary. But we could build a dealership on any of those parcels, so it isn't just relegated to one specific one. So the opportunity can be on parcel B, could be on parcel A, or C too, or a combination thereof. So I just wanted to make it clear that it isn't relegated to just one specific parcel.
I think my question may be more towards staff and Erica, but whoever feels capable of answering this. So not to say that I have any doubts that this is what the plan is and moving forward, but we've been victims of a bait and switch before when it comes to developments, when we're told that a private business will be staying there as part of the development, and then it changes, and then the development, the residential is there, and now the business is gone. Obviously, we hope that doesn't happen, but what kind of guarantees, what kind of obligations is it that commitment for the Toyota dealership to be part of this project? How enforceable is it, and what happens if they pull out after the project's completed or while it's occurring?
So there are a number of protections to address that specific issue. The first one is that one of the exhibits to the development agreement has Toyota Walnut Creek agree to a non-relocation covenant so that they will remain in Walnut Creek for the duration of the development agreement, and that's either 10 years or potentially 15 years if the development agreement is extended by 5 years, as there's a process for. Secondly, the way that permits are pulled and the timing for permits that are pulled for other types of uses are tied to the development of the auto dealership as well too. So there are timing mechanisms and triggers that require them to commence design and permitting for the auto dealership early in the process, that require them to commence construction of the auto dealership at certain times, and that also require them to complete the dealership at certain intervals such that they can then pull certificates of occupancy for other types of uses out there. There is a provision in the development agreement that says, hypothetically, that let's say they are ready to pull certificates of occupancy on some of the, say, housing units, if housing units go on Site A, and it's more than 25%. We didn't want the housing development, and the applicants in particular did not want the housing development to be stopped because they haven't finished construction of the auto dealership. So there's a provision in the agreement that requires them to deposit $2 million into an account, and this is after they've commenced construction of the auto dealership, but say they haven't completed it and opened it yet. They have a process where they would have to deposit $2 million into an account, and if they don't actually get a certificate of occupancy and operate the dealership within 2 years, they forfeit that $2 million to the city plus interest. On the other hand, if they actually do meet their timing requirements, they get the deposit back plus the interest on it. So there are a number of mechanisms that require them to to build the necessary components of the project, including the dealership. The last thing I would say is that the proposal from Toyota has been throughout, and I think it's their expectation, Mr. Scanlons can speak to this more, that it will in fact be a Toyota dealership that will be there. But in discussions both with the ad hoc committee and with staff, we did recognize that there's a possibility that it maybe wouldn't be a Toyota dealership. It'd still be a 45,000 square foot auto dealership that would be built there. And so there is a process pursuant to which they can make a request to the city manager, the determination of which is ultimately appealable to the city council, for them to substitute a different dealership in there, looking at metrics like similar economic revenue and tax revenue that you might get from the Toyota dealership. So all of those components are in the development agreement right now to try to address those concerns, Councilmember, that you're identifying.
So let's say hypothetically, cover your ears, but let's say hypothetically, we approve a GPA, we approve rezoning, and then they sell to a housing developer. And it's now been, we have now changed the whole zoning and general plan amendment for that. Is that possible?
So it is possible for them to sell a portion of the site to a housing developer. It is not possible for them to avoid the requirements to do the things that they are required to do. So if they sell to another property owner, housing developer, hotel, office, whatever, they have to enter into an assignment agreement, and that assignment agreement is subject to approval by the city, and it has to allocate out the responsibilities that are in place. And so if, for instance, we had a situation where they hadn't commenced the auto dealership component of this, either the planning or the permitting, then there would be retained obligations that would be allocated out in the various agreements to ensure that the city retains the ability to enforce those obligations as they go through.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions? I see pensive looks.
I just want to address a little from another perspective your question, because as the ad hoc committee, we were continually asking to understand better how dealership, that industry works and operates, and what the constraints are on these franchise operations. They don't just get to go anywhere they want to. It's not like a mom and pop, it's not like a liquor store or a used car dealership. And so they have constraints on them from their manufacturer that doesn't allow them just to pick up and move to Concord.
No, I know they couldn't just move. The question really was more of, what if, take a different scenario here, I'm going to rezone my, an area across its office, and it rezones into residential. Oh, great, now I'm just going to sell it rather than say that I'm going to build it myself. That was what I was getting at, just that it's going to retain a car dealership, and according to our city attorney, that is put into place, and it would actually come to city council if there was any change in that. So that makes me feel comfortable.
Well, they'd have to ask, if it was to, for example, if it was somebody wanted it all to become residential, there's constraints on this. The environmental doesn't even support that, because it's only been studied up to a certain level, and it would have to come back here for a series of amendments that would probably be a 10-year process.
Understood.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I wanted to respond to a couple of questions that were asked earlier that I told the council I would get back on.
Yes, please.
One, I just want to confirm, and I apologize for misspeaking earlier, the auto dealership is specifically authorized on sites A, B, and D if they acquire it. I said C before. That's actually where it's likely that the standalone affordable housing would go if they go in that direction. The second thing to Councilmember Francois' question, the staff report is correct that the commercial linkage in lieu fee, there's a potential 5-year deferral on the payment of that, so that if they are able to meet the standard under the commercial linkage fee of 65% housing, then they could be exempted from that. There's also, and I'm not I don't want to confuse the issue. There's also a 5-year limit or a 5-year time period where the current commercial linkage fee plus 25% is locked in at its current level for 5 years. And so, for instance, if they actually had to pay a commercial linkage fee in the 6th year, the 7th year of the development agreement, they would pay the then existing fee plus 25%. If they pay it within the first 5 years, it's the current fee plus 25%.
Any more council concerns? No, no. Yeah. No, not particularly. I was actually looking at Matt. I think we're done here. I'm bringing it back to council for comments and decisions.
Public comment?
Oh, public comment, although public comment, I always remember public comment until I don't. Is there any other public comment to be made or had? Oh, please, come forward. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is John Dalrymple. I'm here representing several hundred electricians, plumbers, sprinkler fitters, and sheet metal workers, some of which I'm sure have bought cars from the dealership over the years. You know, this is there's a lot very positive to be said about this development. I monitor developments in many jurisdictions for these trades, and you know, this type of reuse, rethinking, you know, how do we take advantage of what we have and then respond to what our new needs are, right? So additional housing, particularly through close to a BART station. So there's a lot to be very, in creating sort of, you know, the kind of synergies when you have multi-uses that could be really dynamic and bring a lot to a community. But this is also going to require hundreds and hundreds of construction jobs, right? And the question is going to be, are these going to be high quality construction jobs? We've asked to meet with a developer to talk about that. This has been a really rough time for construction workers. Loans for construction are very difficult to get. There's a high unemployment. A job like this offers a lot of promise to the local construction workforce, of which there are actually hundreds of them in Walnut Creek. You know, are there going to be apprentices on the program? So opportunities for our young people and for our veterans. So through our signatory contractors is where almost the hard hats, folks coming out of the armed services, they can find jobs with real dignity, offer them the kind of respect they deserve. But we have to have the jobs to place those veterans, returning veterans, you know, to work. So we're hopeful. We've asked to meet. We hope to talk in the next few weeks about, you know, how can we bring even greater benefits to the community by having, you know, good, you know, there's going to be a few tens of millions of construction wages. Are they going to be spent here in this community or taken elsewhere? For example, additional benefits. So there's a stake, you know, for this council and for this community about who builds these kinds of projects. So we look forward to those discussions. This has been a good part. Obviously, this dealership has been a very, you know, good corporate citizens within this community, and we're hopeful that that will continue by the use of the local construction workforce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Chris Palomo, and I'm a field rep of the NorCal Carpenters Union out of Local 152, representing all of Contra Costa County. I'd first like to thank you guys for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here to discuss with you the importance of making sure that there are labor standards enforced on a potential project of this magnitude. The blue-collar men and women who will build this potential development deserve more than the bare minimum standards. They deserve a commitment to area standard wages, health care benefits, and the use of a state certified apprenticeship program. By ensuring that the workers are paid the area standard wages, you are giving the workers a fighting chance at the middle class and making ends meet to support their families in a time where everything costs an arm and a leg. Second, making sure that every worker has access to health care is essential. Health care shouldn't be a luxury for the fortunate few. The physical well-being of our workers directly impacts our productivity, morale, and overall quality of life. By implementing health care benefits on this project, you are not only prioritizing the welfare of our workforce, but are also strengthening the entire community's health and resilience. Lastly, the use of a state-certified apprenticeship programs are a vital investment for the future of our workforce. Apprenticeship programs provide invaluable hands-on experience and knowledge, creating a pipeline of skilled and qualified workers who are not only ready to meet the demands of today, but are also equipped to address the challenges of tomorrow. By enforcing these labor standards, you as the leaders of Walnut Creek are not only ensuring the success of this future development, but are also signaling Walnut Creek's commitment to sustainable growth, quality job creation, social responsibility, and setting a precedent that will benefit this community for generations to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments before I bring it back to council? I am seeing none, so it's back to council we come. Does anybody want to make the first comment, please? Mayor Pro Tem Darling, you're on.
I will start. Because we've been at this for a while. This was a project, and I appreciate the vision that Toyota Walnut Creek brought forward of using every bit of flexibility and creativity that all of us in the room could find to come up with a solution that would help them meet their needs. And meeting their needs was very consistent with meeting our needs. I think all of us in the room had a very high priority on improving that Toyota dealership and making it something that is Walnut Creek worthy. And that was one of the underlying things that we negotiated in the development agreement and in the whole plan. We also worked very hard at implementing the vision of the North Downtown Plan related to accessibility and pedestrian passage through there, and including the pathway was really an important part, because without these parcels, that path was not going to happen. And so we really appreciate the flexibility that Toyota Walnut Creek has on a difficult site, in a difficult situation, because we don't know exactly what the project's going to look like, but the commitment to getting the path in there was really important to us. And then the commitment to the affordable housing that helps all of us in the community. It helps from a public safety standpoint, because kids who grow up in affordable housing grow up stronger. And it's an important part of what we as Walnut Creek wanted to do. And I really commend the team at Toyota Walnut Creek and the city of Walnut Creek at coming together and playing the what if game for 3 years on, well, what if this, and what if it's a this, and what if it's a that. And I think we've come up with a development agreement that has a lot of interlocking pieces that take advantage of the flexibility so that you guys can get what you need out of this project, but help all of us achieve our goals. And so I am prepared to support this.
Well, we wouldn't be here tonight if we weren't prepared to, the two of us weren't prepared to support it, because we wouldn't have let it out of the committee and the discussions. Thank you to Toyota Walnut Creek and your representatives and your consultants. This has been a long road during a difficult economic time and a difficult health time. And it gives you great pause when you're having these long-range discussions about where we're going, when you can't see what's behind the curtain that's right in front of you, because it was such a tenuous period of time. I think this is very exciting, what we have in front of us, because what we've done is come up with a way together to basically achieve some very long-range strategic goals for our community. One of which was to retain and allow for the expansion and modernization of our urban auto sales and service dealerships. That is a really arduous task. This is not a community at the fringes of an urban area that has acres and acres and acres of flat land. You can just park cars and drive by, and there's a showroom somewhere off in the distance back from the street. This is going to have to go vertical. It's going to be more intense and parked, because the rest of that land that has been used for 50 years for parking cars, new cars, needs to be there to fiscalize it in order to make it economically viable to rebuild these dealerships. And this is a model for how to do that, how to retain the tax revenues and the high-tech. These are high-tech jobs nowadays in these dealerships. There's no grease monkey back there. There's no grease in half of these cars. It is forward-thinking in just creating a mix of transit-oriented land uses in this area so that we have the opportunity to embrace multifamily housing, affordable housing, hotel uses, office uses, all within a half a mile of the BART station. It's also a way for us to facilitate the actualization of the North Downtown Specific Plan, one of which was to create it easier to get from the Iron Horse Trail to the BART station through these very big blocks. And the only real route was Ignacio Valley Road, which is not very pedestrian or bike friendly. So how can we create these mid-block connections between Civic to Broadway and Broadway to North Main? And although we are not able to get the whole thing done in this, we will get a path from North Main to Broadway, and we have a path for the future, a pathway for the future, a virtual one of how we can actually finish the pathway between Civic and North Broadway. We're able to, one of the things we talked about when we met 3 years ago in May with our Transportation Planning Design Review Commission and the council was we talked about we wanted to ensure that we also were able to accomplish some of our housing goals, because that is a big issue in this state. It's a big issue across the country. We talk about we need more housing and we need greater affordability of housing. And working together, you're going to help us achieve that goal and achieve it in a way that more people are going to be able to live in Walnut Creek at all income levels. And we're going to be able to embrace and welcome those new members of our community. And we have been able to do it with you in a way that we are going to be able to achieve these intensification objectives without overdoing it, within some constraints that are voluntary, that allow us to achieve the objectives without overkill. And so thank you to everybody, and thank you to our staff and our attorneys and the consultants, because I was just fascinated to read an environmental document that really didn't have a picture of what it was going to look like. It was just a series of scenarios. So thank you all. I'm delighted to be able to support this and looking very forward to hearing the first development when other conversations will ensue related to actually what the specifics of the build-out will be.
Sure. Well, things are changing in the auto industry. We've seen that between all the dealerships that are out there. As my family has bought cars in the last 5 to 7 years. Everybody knows what they want when they get there. They know what the price is. It's almost like you're just ordering now as opposed to walking the lots. And so I was even wondering over the last couple of years, well, how are car dealerships going to continue to have these massive acreage of cars on them that are in prime real estate areas? And I think that now we're seeing that how those solutions are coming to fruition. And we love Toyota. We've been a Toyota family. We've certainly have been to Broadway Toyota, and it's I obviously want to be able to keep Toyota in Walnut Creek. I think that's important for everybody. But again, we have to figure out how this can work now with all of these lots of land. Something like this that we're looking at potentially and that we've now seen, this is good for housing, and we talked about that. The area makes sense. It's walkable to downtown, it's walkable to BART, it's walkable to City Hall, because of course you're going to be having to do that a lot if you live there. But this could also really give a great boost for commercial in the area. And I envision when this project is completed that there will be other commercial opportunities that really attract people to come there that are going to be residents in that immediate area. So I really do look at that as a boost. I also appreciate the public comment from people that spoke regarding labor and apprentice jobs. I think apprentice jobs are critical. We even had the Youth Commission here before, which essentially these interns or apprentices in what it's like to be in local government. So I think anything that we can do to help to have that kind of a labor force become more familiar and trained, I think is terrific as well. But I'm in favor of this project, and thank you all for your 3.5 years of diligent work to get to this point.
Matt?
Okay. It's hard. You guys are a tough act to follow, but I want to start by thanking the two members of the ad hoc who put in, I know, countless hours working on this on behalf of all of us. Thank you for your service, and to our community development and city attorney staff who were right there with them, I think, each step of the way. Thank you for your tremendous value that you've added in terms of the development agreement and the entitlements. When Councilmember Wilk and I were on the legislative committee, back when you were mayor and I was mayor pro tem, this project was just in its infancy. And when we would talk to legislators, this was one I would cite about how we're being proactive, innovative, and thinking outside the box in terms of housing. And to each person that we spoke to got excited about that and understood that not only did we have a robust housing element, but that we were looking for other opportunity sites, including in areas that had auto sales and service previously, maintain that important sales tax component, but provide for opportunities for housing. So I'm thrilled to see this come forward. I think for a lot of the reasons that have already been stated that we are, it does check a lot of boxes for us in terms of the specific plan. That critical connection from the Iron Horse to the BART station, which is so difficult to try to accomplish. I think we're going to make some real headway with that on this project. I think another thing that was telling to me is that when you look at the supplemental EIR, that all the impacts were mitigated to a less than significant level. We had no single significant unavoidable impact, which tells me that there's a good project at the right location, at the right time, in the right place. And so I think that's worthy of noting. I do think it will be a catalyst and serve as a model for other potential dealerships in this area. Let's see. I do, too, appreciate the public comment on labor and appreciate the need for apprenticeships. I think there's no specific development proposal at this time, but there does seem to be a willingness to talk about in the future, and I appreciate that. And so with that, I'm prepared to support the project.
Thank you. Well, one of the good news about being the mayor with this council is you don't have to be the brightest bulb in the drawer because y'all said some really good stuff. And so I'm going to be short and just say, oh my gosh, do I admire persistence. And you persisted like nobody's business. And because of that, I believe that you are going to make creativity in Walnut Creek development a whole new concept around things. And I believe because of your courage and persistence that we are going to have unstated but well-recognized standards that have been higher, and Walnut Creek is a pretty snobby city already. So we're going to be even better because of your persistence and your creativity and your work on this. With that, who would like to make all of the appropriate motions?
So I would start, except I think we have the slide from the Planning Commission in front of us.
I think we can do this off of the staff report.
Okay,
So
you go first.
I move to adopt the resolution certifying the supplemental environmental impact report, and I'm not going to read the number, for the Walnut Creek Mixed-Use Special District Project, including adoption of relevant findings and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program.
Second.
Is there anything else
you
that
have
we
to-
need to cover yet? No?
I think that we're taking them up one at a time.
Okay, all right. All right, that being the case, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Darling,
Aye.
Councilmember Silva,
Aye.
Councilmember Francois,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilk,
Aye.
Mayor Haskew.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Do the second one.
Could we do the rest as a bunch, Steve? Now that
No.
we've done the,
You can do all the other three together.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Move to adopt the resolution amending the general plan and the North Downtown specific plan for application Y21-25. Oh, that's really disgusting that it's that many dates in there. Move to introduce and waive reading of an ordinance to amend Title 10, the Planning and Zoning section of the Walnut Creek Municipal Code, adopt an overlay zone, and amend the zoning maps to create a mixed-use special district overlay located at 2100 North Main Street, 2150 North Broadway, and 2100 North Broadway in the automobile sales and service and custom manufacturing district in the North Downtown Specific Plan for the Walnut Creek Mixed-Use Special District Project. And I moved to introduce and waive reading of an ordinance and make findings and approving the development agreement by and between the City of Walnut Creek and TWC Property Holdings LLC for the Walnut Creek Mixed-Use Special District Project.
And I will second that.
And I will ask for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Silva.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Darling.
Aye.
Councilmember Francois.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilk.
Aye.
Mayor Haskew.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Congratulations to the applicant. And I believe that takes us to the end of the meeting. I'm just checking in case it does. We are now adjourned. See you next meeting.